Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday show. I am James Chen, and I am joined alongside once again, live in person, by Mr.
Hey, what's up? I'm Ultra David. That's right. I'm here in person, having taken my car on the freeway, which was full of cars. Oh, the traffic to get here, James. You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it.
I know, it's terrible how you always have to do this every week after week after week.
Every single week I make sure that I come because we have to talk about topics.
Exactly.
And those topics are going to start out with an interview that we're going to do with a couple of folks from the FGC, LIJoe and Eliver Ling, Killer Kai. We are going to be talking about their experiences with COVID-19. They both have had / currently have it. And we're going to also be talking about Mortal Kombat 11 with new aftermath, new characters, stages, all sorts of DLC stuff to talk about. We'll talk about various community issues that happened over the last week. SamSho, Capcom, a couple of other things. We got a nice set of topics for everybody on the 5-5 matchup discussion points as well.
That's right. But you know, Mr. LIJoe, obviously on the East Coast, also back on his feet, back working and everything like that, and he has to get up super early tomorrow morning. So as opposed to starting with the topic as we usually do and then jumping to the interview, we're actually going to go straight to interviewing Mr. LIJoe directly, and we get to see a nice, let me see if I can pull him up over here. Where is my group? There it is. And pow, there we go. Mr. LIJoe, is he?
Hey!
Did he freeze on me? Oh my god, my Discord just went crazy. Oh no, that's just him. He
did such a good job of freezing that you thought your Discord died.
No, my Discord actually did die at the same time that he police squatted me there, but you know.
Genius. Wait, hold on. Can they see Cactar though? Or
no, they can't.
No. They can't.
I'm just a total idiot right now. That's great. Yeah. Okay, you got it. All right. So just so the stream knows, I see a picture of Cactar. James's picture is Cactar, hence the.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why you did that. Gotcha.
Now it makes more sense. I just don't look like a total idiot, I guess.
I was kind of hoping it would be an in-joke between only you and me this entire time. But okay, fine. I'll have it explained. Even James didn't get it.
Yeah, I know. I didn't even think about what that was.
Ow! Well, thanks a lot for coming on the show. Much obliged.
Yeah. No, thank you guys very, very, very much. You know, I've always this is a good opportunity for me to talk about it. So I didn't really talk about it much. Like I kind of made some initial tweets to keep some people in the loop, and then I was just kind of like, I don't want to do this all the time. So I think this is a good opportunity. So I appreciate it, guys. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that, you know, COVID obviously has been a big deal. It's affecting all of our lives. We're all still going through it and everything like that. And, you know, I just felt like it would be a good idea to talk to people who have, you know, obviously contracted it and have managed to succeed and defeat it, basically. And, you know, just kind of talk about the things. Obviously, not everybody has been so fortunate. We've definitely lost some people already in the FGC, you know, and many just loved ones in general to the disease and stuff. But, you know, just...
Yeah, we haven't been talking that much about it over the past couple of weeks because I know that, you know, many people watch the show to not have to deal with that. And I totally get that. And for me, this is also a nice respite of like not having to talk about it. You know?
Yeah. A little bit of escape.
Exactly right. Yeah. But that said, I do think that it's really worth talking about for the reasons that you guys already addressed. This is something that obviously we're all dealing with, and you have dealt with it much more personally than I have or than James has. So yeah, I think we should just get to talking about it.
Yeah. No, cool. Let's go. And by the way, you guys can ask anything. So don't feel like, should I say it? Just let it out.
Okay. Then my first question is, how much do you love me, Joe? I mean, seriously.
Oh my God, tremendously. David too. I'm a real big fan of you guys. Real big fan of David and James. I really am.
All right.
I love you so much, Joe. Come on. I mean,
big fan of you guys.
People don't even. That's actually a bit of lore, right? People don't know you as I Love You, Joe anymore.
Yeah, that was my Kylera name. That was my first like FGC name. I downloaded Kylera and I was playing Last Blade 2 and Samurai Shodown and SVC Chaos and KOF 2003 and 92
Oh, I used to
and
play
98.
2003. Sick.
Yeah.
How many people?
Yeah.
Also, how many people know about Joey Doubles? Just curious about that.
The DDR days are kind of like, that's like, whew, Jesus. Honestly, not a lot of people. I didn't really play much, especially when I started playing fighting games more. Like, I didn't go to Chinatown to play DDR. Like, I'd play, like, a song with somebody, and they'd be like, oh my god, you can play it. Like, yeah, but I don't want to sweat. It's gross. I just want to play Third Strike. I just want to play Third Strike.
Oh, man.
All right, so I guess let's start by talking about.
Yeah.
I'm just to say right up front, you're feeling okay now?
I
Before
feel
we have the conversation.
completely fine. Yeah, totally back to normal. Like I said, I'm back to work and everything.
Okay.
Totally good.
Now,
Okay,
have
cool.
you actually had a follow-up test that shows that you are completely like cleared of it now?
No,
Okay.
have not. So, my birthday was March 27th, so I got it before my birthday. So this was like, I want to say like March 23rd, 22nd or something along those lines. So it was when it first started getting like, wow, this is pretty serious, and there's no testing and no one can get tests. So the only reason why I got the test was because my brother owns the house. This is a basement apartment underneath my brother. My brother's girlfriend is a nurse, and she works in a hospital where there are confirmed cases. She works around them all day.
Okay.
So I got sick one day, and I went to the doctor, and they said, because she just went to the doctor truly hours before I went. The same doctor. So she got tested, and my brother was like, he lives with us. My girlfriend just came here, got tested, blah, 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 blah. So they wound up giving me a test. But the idea for them to not I don't want to say waste a test, but after you do the quarantine, it's all over, they just say, no, that's it. Like, they're not going to I don't want to say waste a test, but since tests were so scarce back in the first week of April, the end of March, they weren't going to give me another test since they knew I already had it. I did my quarantine, and I actually spoke to the Department of Health. I didn't even talk to a doctor. I called the Department of Health just to make sure, because my dad is 75, 76 or something. So the last thing I want to do is be around my dad.
Right.
So I was calling the Department of Health. Like, I'm like, Dad, do not come here. Don't even call me on the phone. It's gonna get through the wires. You're gonna get sick. I was like, don't even think about me until 2 weeks. So again, I called the Department of Health, and they just said, you did your 2 weeks? I said, yes, I did. I did it was more than 2 weeks. It was probably like 17 days or 18 days, because you have to be symptom-free for 72 hours. You can't have a headache. You can't sneeze. You have to be completely symptom-free. So after your 14 days, if you show symptoms on day 14, you just brought yourself another 72 hours of isolation. And so, unfortunately, I felt like shit the last day. I actually had a fever. It was this very small fever. It was like a 99.9 or something. But again, being around my dad and stuff, I was not taking any chances. Called the Department of Health. They said, nope, you got to wait 3 more days. Called the Department of Health again, and they said, you're good. And I was like, I don't have to get tested again? They're like, nope, you're good. They're probably not going to give you tests anyway. So as long as you did what you're supposed to do, and you're good to go. I was like, okay. I hope so.
Well,
that was it.
Let's take it from the beginning of it and just sort of go through the timeline. So, how do you think that you got sick in the first place? Yeah,
I have no idea. I really don't know. I work in probably the worst part of the boroughs when it was first starting. So my job is located in deep. I know if you guys don't it's almost near Queens on Long Island. Now, the whole spot, like Brooklyn, Queens, and some areas was very, 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 very bad. Manhattan, it was extremely bad. So I pretty much worked in the heart of it. And the thing is, I work for a delivery service. So my team would go out on deliveries and be exposed to the elements everywhere where it's bad. Then they would come back, and I would take their things, and I would shake their hand. You know what I mean? It could have been anything, but I'm going to guess I got it from someone at my job.
Now,
and when was that thereabouts?
Say again, sorry?
And about when was that?
Again, my birthday was March 27th. It was before my birthday, so it had to be the middle of March. It had to be around the middle of March, 2nd or 3rd week of March, around there, yeah.
So,
even when they test you, you don't know how long you've had. I could have had it for 2 weeks already, but they just happened to test me then, and I got it. So there's no way to know, when. I guess that there might be. They just said, "Oh, you haven't." I was like, "Oh shit, great."
So we like knew that there was an epidemic going on. I don't remember when it was called a pandemic, but it was around the middle of March.
Yeah.
And around the middle of March is when, I am living in Los Angeles, began to hear and read stories out of New York of all the cases that were beginning, like right around then. Had social distancing started at the time that you think that you got sick?
No, not really. Yeah, not really. I feel there's no way. There's no way, because it was still like my job just closed down. Not closed down, but they actually said, you know what, we're gonna stop all production for a while, or whatever. So my job just closed down. So it wasn't like it wasn't during the whole like hard part. It was like right at the beginning. So yeah, again, it had to be, like I said, the second week of March or third week of March or something.
People in the chat are saying that pandemic was called on March 13th, and but I remember around that time, I don't think we were taking it as seriously as we are right now. Now,
of course,
did anybody else at your job get tested positive for this, or
I don't know, only because when I was fine going to work, my job said, all right, everybody go home for at least 2 weeks. We'll figure it out. We'll keep in touch. So I was already home, and I didn't really talk to anybody when I got it. But when I did get it, the Department of Health told me to make sure that I call people that I was around. Right. So, of course, I called my direct regional director manager, and told them, like, hey, like, I was found positive. So then they started reaching out to people. So I don't know if anybody got... I heard, like, rumblings, and now, since it's still obviously a pandemic, I'm working again, but not... The whole business isn't working. So there might be people that aren't back at work that I haven't spoken to that did actually contract it. So I'm not really sure if anyone else at my job got it.
So when you began feeling sick, just take us through, like, the experience of feeling sick. What was it like? What were the symptoms? All that.
So I think I want to say it was a Saturday. I'm gonna just stick with the Saturday because I won't. Screw it. Whatever. We're gonna say Saturday. So
these details are important, Joe. They're going on court record here. Okay.
on Saturday night, I remember being like, when you start to when you're not sick, but you're like, damn, I'm going to wake up and I'm not going to feel great. Like you feel generally okay, but your throat feels a little weird, or like just something in your body, you're like, I'm going to get sick. Yep. So I was sitting right in this chair, and I was like, oh, man, I'm going to get sick. So I laid down, and I remember waking up throughout the night on Sunday, like being like, oh, I'm sick. But then I went back to bed. So I woke up, and this is the time where my girlfriend was still here, and I remember telling her, like, I don't feel good. My body hurt. See, there was no cough at the start. I wasn't coughing. My throat didn't hurt. My head was just killing me, and my body hurt. Like, from my waist down, hurt like never before. Sometimes you get body aches when you get the flu, whatever, but from my waist down was hurting so bad. So I remember I got up. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get up. I'm going to go get us breakfast. I drove to McDonald's. I remember clear as I drove to McDonald's, and I remember being in the drive-thru, and I was like, I really feel terrible. Like, it just got worse. So I got the food, and I sat on my bed, and I couldn't eat the food. I ate a little bit of it. I closed it, and that was it. Like, I laid on my bed, and I had probably the worst headache I've ever had in my life. I didn't move. I laid in my bed, and I just didn't move whatsoever. My girlfriend went upstairs to get my brother because she was very, very nervous. Like, I wasn't moving. I was just staying still. Again, just crazy headache. My body was hurting. So my brother came downstairs, and he said, he just took his girlfriend to get checked. Let's go. So I remember getting up and being like really dizzy and stuff. Then I went to the doctor, and I had my head down the entire time. They tested me. They put the thing in your nose. They swish it around a little bit. It didn't really hurt that bad. It just feels like a little kind of weirdly uncomfortable. And then that's it. I came back home, and again, just a crazy, crazy, crazy headache. So I didn't move for the entire time. The next day, day 2, I woke up, and my headache was kind of gone, but my throat hurt a little bit. And I was like, now my throat hurts a little bit. And then the next day, so the third day, the same thing. My throat hurt, and then I started coughing a little. And I'm like, oh, I'm coughing. And then they called me and said, yeah, you got it. So, and that was it. And then, but the thing is, like, people always say, what were you coughing? Could you breathe? But I was like, no, I had like the headache part, had the fever and the headache. Then I had the sore throat, and then I had the cough and the sore throat. And the cough lasted for, I'll say 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Like, I was coughing, and when I was trying to stream or make YouTube content, I was always like huffing and puffing and trying to clear my throat, and just like it was bad. It was bad. But just that one initial day was probably the sickest I've ever been. One of the sickest I've ever been, just for that one solid day.
Huh.
No,
you didn't have the chest issues that we hear so often about, right? People saying that their chest feels like somebody's sitting on it. That wasn't your experience.
No, and I have asthma too, but I didn't feel it. The only thing chest wise was if I would breathe deep. When you're in the pool for a long time and you get like waterlogged, I think it's called. It's like a weird feeling, like when you breathe in after being in the pool.
Yeah.
It like messes with your lungs a little bit. That's what I felt like. I'd breathe in, and I would have to cough. Like if I was like, the deeper I got, the more I'd have to cough.
Yeah.
And then even just like staying still or talking or laughing or anything where it would like expand or contract my lungs, I felt like I would have to cough. And it wasn't really coughing like I was coughing something up. It was coughing because I couldn't breathe. You know what I mean? Very, very weird. Yeah, very, very, very weird feeling. But yeah, the first day, excuse me, the rest of the time it was just a constant like, I could breathe, but I can tell like it wasn't normal. It was certainly not a normal taking breaths. Like I said, even when talking or whatever, laughing, very, very weird, very weird.
So what was going on with lower body pain? I don't think that I had heard about that symptom before.
Oh man, yeah. My my legs were like, it was like the flu. You ever get the flu and like your body aches a little bit, like your back hurts and things like it felt just like that. But from my waist down, my legs, like my thighs, it just felt like everything was sore. Like I ran 13 miles and then, you know what I'm saying? Then I just stood still. Everything from my waist down was just aching and hurting. It was not great.
Now, so obviously, like one of the things that always like concerns me. So you were around your girlfriend, your brother. They're okay, right?
Yeah. Like I said, she was at my house for 2 weeks before I was found positive. She was at my house like 15 or 16 days, so I had to have it around her. But when the day I was sick, we like kind of started like she would sleep on one side of the bed and I would sleep on the other, like completely apart, not next to each other. We would sleep like that way, like, you know what I'm saying? So we didn't interact at all much. Well, obviously we interacted, but we did our best to stay away. And then when I got sick, she obviously went home, and she did isolate as well, just in case, because her, she has parents and loved ones that are old, just like my dad, so we don't want to put anybody else at risk. So she went home. I'm not sure. I don't think she got tested, but she just said, you know what? She made some calls, and they said, just act like you have it, just in case. Is the best thing to do. And they were telling a lot of people to do that. They actually did tell somebody at my job. They said, if you were around somebody and you feel sick, act like you got it. That's it. Just act like you got it so you don't spread it or anything.
She says in the chat that, she was asymptomatic, but she actually lost taste and smell for a little bit.
Yeah, that's like an early symptom too, I think, the taste and the smell.
Because that's always one of the terrifying things to me, right? Because like if you're sick like that, obviously loved ones can't really take care of you because you don't want them to catch it. So I mean, it really is just you have to just be there by yourself, kind of suffering through it and trying to make sure that you can, fend for yourself in those kind of situations.
Yeah, it's when I spoke to the Department of Health, because after I got it, they contacted me and they asked me about my living conditions. They said, who do you live with? Where do you live? All these other kind of crazy questions. And I told them I live with my brother, and they asked me 1,000 questions about where is he, what's the distance between us, is it the same entrance, do you guys share a bathroom? I'm like, no, it's completely, he lives upstairs, I live downstairs, and they were like, that's probably the best condition you can have right now, because if you need something, he's upstairs. So what they would do is, when they would cook dinner, they would just leave me a plate at the steps, and I would just go to the steps and take my plate, and I would eat it right here, and then I bring the plate back, and it was even paper plates. I'm like, don't even give me a real fork, like give me a paper plate, you know what I mean, like whatever. If there's anything you do give me, I'll put it back on the stairs. Even my dad would buy breakfast, and he'd leave it, he'd like scream my name, I'd open the door, I'd look up, and he would throw me like loaves of bread and stuff down the stairs. Yeah, even on my birthday, they had a cake, because I actually had it on my birthday. So they opened up the door, and they were on the stairs with the cake, and they were like FaceTiming my dad, and I was like staying really far away from them, like, hi everybody, thanks for the cake. They left the cake on the steps, and then I brought the cake in here and I ate it.
Nice.
Oh man.
So they were okay the whole time then, your brother?
Yeah, everybody,
cool.
Nobody that I was around thankfully got it. Thank God.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk to Eliver a little bit later on, but I mean, the amount of people that we've heard of caught it and then just been around other people, I'm honestly feeling like there are so many more people that are asymptomatic than we know. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just feel like, gosh, the numbers that we have, if we had the ability to test everybody, I mean, after this whole thing is done, I feel like they need to just test everybody to see if they've had it at some point in time. Because I know there is a test that can do that. And just so we can get like accurate numbers, I mean, you know, because it's kind of scary.
Yeah, that's what's happened with previous pandemics, to kind of figure things out afterward. And I'm sure that'll happen in this case too.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're not the only person that we know who had it in New York. Other FGC folks as well. Did you know Blue Jay?
Yes, I did know Blue Jay. Yes, yep.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I'd known him for a while. He was like around CF a little bit back in the day, in the day. So we were always cool. Like he was just diehard Marvel 2. Like it wasn't about anything else. Like he just wanted to play Marvel 2. So if he ever went to an event, he was chilling and he was just playing Marvel 2. You know, all the stuff that they do for Marvel 2 was all done at his house. We were at Chris's wedding together. When Chris Matrix got married, he was there. I was there with him. It was weird. You know, it was that's when I started. I don't want to say that I got nervous, but it's like, yo, this guy that I've known for a long time, like he has it, and he's no longer here, but like I'm still here. It's a very like weird. It's hard to explain. It was a little uncomfortable. I was talking to Yipes about it. It's weird. It's very, very like, I don't want to say that could have been me, but then you get those. Your mind cannot help but think that way. Like you really don't have a choice. It's just the way the mind works. So I'm just like, damn, like that could have been me. Like after that happened, and I started seeing I never really considered it like I was a survivor or anything like that. Because people had it way worse than me. People were in the hospital for weeks and on machines, and they can't breathe. I was just locked in my apartment playing video games, streaming, and coughing. You know, like I got it, but I just feel like it's almost like I didn't get it, even though I did have it. You know, I just didn't have that severe case where I was stuck in the hospital for a week. So it makes me feel really, really weird thinking about other people that had it and the difficulty or not even being here anymore. And I'm, you know, like I managed to, thank God, you know, get over it. But seeing numbers and cases, and it's like, holy shit, one of those is me. Like I'm that one. Like at the end of it, that's me. 0-1, that's me. It's just a very, very weird freaking feeling. And it's, I don't know, really hard to explain, especially like, again, when you know someone who's involved in the same thing, who grew up playing the same games, who knows the same people, the same community, and like he's no longer here. It's, God, it's weird. It's very weird.
I mean, does it kind of, do you feel like you have like a different outlook now on life? Does it feel
I would say maybe not. I've always had this outlook. Honestly, that's why in my life, when my mom passed at a younger age, like everything in my life, I don't want to say rolls off my shoulders, but I know the value of being able to wake up tomorrow and just always have a good outlook on things. Just try to be a good person and just try to do the right thing and just live your life the best you can while you can, because unfortunately it's not the same case for everybody. So it was just like another like, hey man, like don't forget, don't forget. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's reasonable to think of yourself as being a survivor, and it's not just about the physical aspect of it, right? There's obviously physical suffering with it, but yeah, I would imagine, not being in that position, but I would imagine that along with that, sort of naturally comes also a sort of mental attack as well, right? I mean, you are one of those stats, and one of our friends, did pass away. I don't know. How are you taking it mentally, emotionally? Is it tough?
Yeah, no, it wasn't too tough. That was the hardest part. Me having it, the hardest part was hearing about Blue Jay passing. That was easily, without a doubt, that was worse than being sick or having a fever or coughing. It was easily because, like, again, like you just said it, like you have to mentally take that in. You know what I mean? Like, and then be like, holy shit, like I had that, like that could have been me. What if it was me? What if I die? Then you start thinking about everybody else. What about my family? What about my friends? Then holy shit, I had it. He might have had a pre-existing health issue. My dad has a heart problem. Holy shit, my dad's gonna, your brain just starts going completely crazy. That was, hearing about Blue Jay was the worst part of having it, easily. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was tough for everybody,
Yeah.
I didn't have the sickness, and I didn't know Blue Jay very well, but I was going to know lots of people who he knows.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, rest in peace. That's terrible.
I mean, some people in the chat were mentioning this, but I mean, obviously it's not one of those situations where you want to be like, you guys are stupid or anything like that. But there's some people out there who really do still think that this is a hoax or that this isn't a real kind of situation.
Yeah.
And if you had a message for them, like what would you want to tell them?
Whew, damn, James, that was a good one.
Because look,
well,
you're LIJoe. You inspire a lot of people. Okay, you are known. You are like I said this in a tweet. If anyone was going to catch it and recover and make it a feel good story, it was going to be you, right? So, because I mean, you did put out the tweets with the birthday and all this stuff like this, and you had all this emotional support and everything. But as a figure, as an inspirational person in the community, what would you tell the FGC, the other gamers out there who may come across this interview, just the other people that may come across this?
Yeah, I would just say, like, to David's thumbs down, like, this needs to be taken seriously. Like, I understand that it sucks being locked in your home and not being able to do things, and people are thinking about, oh, what's my summer going to look like? Like, screw your summer. Don't you want to live the rest of your life? Like, like, who cares about a stupid summer? Who cares about going to the gym or, what I mean? Like, getting your hair cut, like these are like really, really trivial things, as opposed to being able to live your life and see what happens in your future and see what happens to the world and see what happens to video games or fighting games or the community. Like, that will disappear if we don't take this seriously, like it'll disappear for you, or anybody if we don't really take this seriously. That's why I agree with events stopping, and I agree with what's going on. Like I really do. I have a paper. I could send you a picture that it says that I have COVID-19. I have a document. I have an email document that says this gentleman is positive. Our friend is no longer here. He's gone. We'll never see him again. And other people, it's happened to other people too. Just because it's not in your bubble doesn't mean that it's not going on outside your bubble. I just think it does just have to be taken like really, really, really serious. Like, the only way that we're gonna do this, and we are gonna overcome it, that everybody has to believe and do the same thing. If you're out doing whatever, acting like it's not gonna happen, even though you don't have it, you could harm someone else. You know what I mean? Like, again, I always go back, and I hate saying it because God forbid, but I always use my dad as an example. Like, like he's a healthy guy, but God forbid he does get it. He's more likely to not make it out of it due to his age and any kind of pre-existing health issue. Like it's scary. So even if you're not worried about you, like how could you not worry about everybody else around you? Like how do you not? I just don't get it. I don't understand it. But
I mean, literally.
Who am I?
Literally, I was going to see my parents like maybe a month ago or something, and I don't know what I was thinking. I was just like, yeah, okay, I'll come home, I'll see you and everything, and then just like the day before, I was like, I can't do this. Like I can't see them, and I had to call my parents, and I was like, no, I'm not coming home. I can't do this. Like I know my parents are suffering because they miss me and my brother and their grandkids, so much, my nephews. But like I was just like, I couldn't do this. Like if I went there and I turned out to be asymptomatic, and I actually have reason to kind of believe that I am a little asymptomatic, but like I could never live with myself. In that
absolutely. That's the only thing that I really think about. I mean, now I'm glad that I said even back in the day, like if anyone is gonna get it, I want it to be me. Like my brother would be a wreck. My dad is too old. My sister has a whole family she has to take care of. I was like, if anyone needs to get this, like it needs to be me. It needs to be because I'll be able to handle it. Oh, all right, like I feel like I don't know, but I just would have been graciously, and I said it like I said before I got it. I said, if anyone gets it, please give it to me. Please give it to me. I'll be able to handle it. I'll sit down here and play games for 2 weeks. Lock me up, throw away the key, but just I'll take it. I will gladly take it with open arms. And I was like, oh, look at that. You got it, kid.
Well, I wish you hadn't, but okay.
Look at that, you got it.
Congratulations, you got your wish.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Yeah.
So you are back at work now?
Yes, I go to work every day. I have to wear a mask and work. We all do. Everybody wears a mask. I actually have to take everybody's temperature before they come in the door and stuff. So it's pretty crazy.
Dang, dude.
Now has the Department of Health told you anything about the possibility of, because we don't know, we're not 100% sure if you've had it, if that means you're now immune, right?
Yeah.
So
no, they didn't say anything like that. I do still want to go get the antibody test, and I was even going to try and see if I can give blood, because you are able to give blood if you've had it after a certain amount of time, because you build the antibodies for it, and then they actually use that for testing and for other things to help fight the virus and things. So I was going to go do that, but they actually ask you to wait like 2 weeks or so since you're clear to actually go give blood for it.
Okay.
All right, man. Well, is there anything else that you want to say that we haven't talked about? Anything else you'd like to address?
No, I just want to thank you guys. I will say one thing is that I do, if there was a sort of silver line, I know it's really hard to think about, especially with what it's done to the FGC and stuff, but I really like seeing everybody playing different games. I really like seeing everybody playing different games. Like there's been a lot of people are playing KI and other people are playing like MK. I feel like everyone is just branching out because we're all stuck at home. Like, you know what? I want to learn this game. I think it's really cool seeing everybody enjoy other games. Like I think that's really cool. That's the only thing I would actually really. I love seeing it. So.
Cool, man. All right.
Awesome.
Yeah, but that's it. Yeah, I don't know how good of a story that can be or come out of this, but as far as FGC goes, it is cool to see people dabbling in other things like that. It's sick. I'm all for it. I'm actually going to play in the next KI like beginner tournament thingamajig.
Oh, nice.
Let's play KI. I've been playing KI again.
I'm gonna. Yeah, I actually I spoke to Nikki.
Okay.
Because I was like, yo, like let me play. And then he was like, yo, the next one, I swear to God, you'll be in the next one. I already have, like, everyone already entered for it. I'm like, yo, next one, let me in. Let me play. I just like playing new shit. So I'm like, yeah, I'll play. Screw it. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. So, when the next tournament comes, I'm gonna play KI. So.
One more question for you before you go.
Absolutely. No, go ahead, man. Whatever.
So, obviously, ECT has been postponed, You already know
Yes.
the next year's date. I mean, you having caught it, how much did that go into affecting your decision? You know, because you canceled even before registration started.
Yeah,
So,
we kind of lucked out a little bit, honestly.
Yeah.
It was especially talking to like the guys at Evo and being like, yeah, you know, and just hearing it all, just like, you know what, let's just all take a break. You know what I mean? Let's just all take a break. Imagine us being the one tournament, right? Even if it is October, imagine being the one tournament and you're like, oh yeah, I went to ECT and I got COVID, and it's just not, you know, it's not worth it. It's really not worth it. I think it's a good idea just to chill for a year, let everybody play, everybody dabble in their different games and stuff, and then we'll reconvene in 6 months or whatever next year, and then hopefully it'll be, you know, like a bigger, better, and brighter, you know, future for FGC and people and everything else.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Well, again, thanks a lot for coming on.
Yeah, of
Much
course,
obliged.
man.
Get some sleep.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You see these grays? You see these grays, David? I'm going to bed.
I do.
Dude,
I got my own. I just happened to shave yesterday. But
you look
yeah.
you look beautiful.
I like the beard. I like it.
Yeah, you look beautiful with the beard, Joe.
Oh God, I gotta shave soon. I'll shave at the next at the first event I go to. I'll shave.
Wow, you're gonna be a bear by then. Okay. Okay. All right, dude.
All right, guys.
All
Later
right.
on.
Thanks for coming
Thanks,
on.
guys. You got it, man.
All right.
Right.
Well, thanks again to Joe for hopping on here. Oh boy.
Yeah, don't worry. We've got the wrong view here and everything, so I'll get that straightened up in just a second. So,
All right. Well, while you're getting that all set up, let's welcome on our next guest, Eliver Ling,
okay, there we go.
who is currently muted.
Yes, unmute yourself, Eliver.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, how you doing?
And thanks a lot for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me.
What is happening?
Totally. So, like with Joe, we wanted to chat with you because you have your own experience with COVID-19.
That's
And
correct. Yeah.
we just like with Joe as well, we want to talk with you about how do you think you got it? What's your experience been like? You know, how are you feeling now? First of all, before we get through the whole story of it, are you feeling okay right now?
Oh, I feel great. I basically feel 100% right now. So I was ordered to be in isolation for 2 weeks after the day of my test. And so today is my last day in isolation. So tomorrow I'm basically free to go in, and I don't want to say go out and do whatever I want, but
Yeah.
like the chains are off by tomorrow.
All right, dude. Well, okay, then let's go back to the start. How do you think you got it? Any idea?
Okay, so a little bit background about my living situation. I live in a house with 3 other people. That includes Tasty Steve, Nerd Josh, and Kizzy K. So as the numbers of COVID started to climb, I started to notice that, you know, there were a couple more popping up in my area. So I told Steve, Josh, and Kizzy that, you know, it might be best for grocery runs, our weekly grocery runs, well, we just leave it to me to go out and get it. So it's like we're not increasing our risk of infection or anything. So just write down everything you need to pick up. I'll go out. I'll grab everything we need. Then I'll come back. So I do that every Sunday or Monday. And then I noticed it was on a Thursday, April 23rd to be specific, when I started getting a little bit of a cough. Now, this cough I was getting, it was no more serious than some of the colds I got. And on top of that, it was allergy season. So I really didn't think much of it at the time. So the next day on Friday, I just remember I was doing this martial arts workout with my sensei over Zoom. And at the end, I just remember laying on the floor and being like, man, you know, I feel tired. Now, mind you, every week he pushes me to my limit. So I thought that was normal, and I thought I was just being lazy, but I saw nothing of it. And then the Monday after that, I saw my parents. And so then I just started thinking, you know, this cough feels like nothing. Maybe I should just go get tested. And I got tested on that Wednesday. A week later, I found out I was positive. So my guess is that I got it on one of my supply runs, going grocery shopping. And this is when I'm already putting on a mask. I'm sanitizing my hands every time I leave my car, every time I come back, and even when I get back to the house, I wash my hands again.
Hard to be more careful than that.
Yeah.
Now, so you said you saw your parents, and you obviously live in the
Yes.
same house as Steve, Josh, and Kizzy. Have
Yeah.
they gotten tested, and how are they doing right now?
So I got a little bit of a scare because the day after I tested, so that Friday, my mom hits me up, and then she asked me if I could take my dad to the doctor because he was having some breathing problems the night before. So in my head, I'm thinking, like, the thought of the test at this moment, I'm still thinking, like, oh, I'm probably negative, and so this sounds a little more serious. So I'm just gonna go take him to the doctor, and then everything will be okay. And the doctor, like, gave him some medicine, fine. And it was the following week when I found out I tested positive. And so he was the first person I called. I told him, get tested right now. And so luckily, and both my parents are in their 70s, like Joe's dad. So they're high risk. And I just got word back a few days ago that my dad tested negative. So I got blessed with that. And he also tested negative for antibodies, so he's never had it.
Okay.
But it also rules out the possibility that I got this from my parents. But other than that, yeah, I mean, this was pretty much the best case scenario was for me to get it because, I could handle it. I've handled it about as well as I could have. And the worst symptom I've had was like really just a cough and a little bit sensitivity to anytime I would eat something hot, the steam would tickle my throat and I'd start coughing. Like that's kind of a new feeling, but the cough still is, it's a lot weaker than even the weakest cold I've ever had.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, this is the whole thing, right? So what about Kizzy, Josh, and Steve? Have they gotten tested at all?
So today's my last day of isolation. Tomorrow I've already scheduled for myself to get tested again. And Kizzy, Josh, and Steve are all coming with me. We're all going to get our tests like at the drive-thru.
Right.
As a little bit of backstory, here in Los Angeles, where they are as well, the government has made it available, free to test, and you can schedule testing if you'd like to. My understanding is that they're more likely to give you those tests earlier if you are experiencing symptoms. But if you're not experiencing symptoms, they'll still give you the test. You just got to make an appointment. So is that what they did?
Yeah, I mean, I had a cough, and so that's already symptoms. So technically, I was on line.
For you, for sure.
Yeah. And then in the house, Josh had a cough around the same time I did. So, yeah, there's a good shot he has it. I haven't noticed anything with Kizzy or Steve, but yeah, we're all going to get tested tomorrow. And so the testing process, it's a little different from the one Joe did. So we drive up to a tent, they check us in, and then we drive up to the next tent where they will give us these testing kits. Inside is the test tube and a cotton swab, and then instead of going through your nose, we swab the back of our throat after doing like 3 really heavy coughs. And so then we put the cotton swab into the test tube and just drop it off in a bin on our way out, and the whole thing takes like 5 minutes.
Wow. And are you and your housemates like interacting at all, or how are you navigating that?
So the moment I found out I was positive, I messaged everyone right away. And so basically we spent most of our time in the rooms. So anytime I go out, I put on the mask. I wash my hands before I go out again. I also brought out all the disposable utensils and paper plates and everything because I'm not using any of the regular dishes. And we just respect the 6-foot rule as well, and like try not to come in any close contact with one another.
Do you guys have like separate bathrooms and stuff like that?
Yeah, I have my own bathroom. Josh and Kizzy share one, and Steve has his own.
Okay, gotcha. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, because there is probably a pretty decent chance that all 4 of you probably have it. That maybe
at one point in time or another. So
yeah, and which means
but
that
we've seen over like the past couple months that everyone's been responding to it differently, and so some people have been asymptomatic the whole time, and then others have unfortunately taken the worst of it. So I'm just I'm hoping for the best, and if any of if anyone else had it other than me, I'm just hoping that the worst is over and now they have antibodies.
And just explain to people at home, like, what you do for a living. Have you had to go back to work? All that. Do you need to go outside soon? What's going on?
Right now, I'm basically out of work because ever since Sandbox VR went under, and then also the entertainment industry is kind of in a weird situation. I mean, luckily before all that, I saved up a bunch from commercial work, so I'm okay for the time being. And so we're still just trying to navigate what's going to happen, like what to do once the entertainment industry opens up again, and like how our production is going to work. We've been able to handle a lot of pre-production stuff through Zoom meetings, through emails, all that stuff. But it's going to be a different story once people get on set.
A question from the chat: was your cough kind of phlegmy, or was it a dry cough? Because Joe mentioned his was dry.
It was dry.
Okay. So
yeah, I mean it's weird living in LA. I live in Hollywood itself, and it's definitely strange to see that there's so little activity going on. I go on walks, my wife and I go on walks, and sometimes we go to the grocery store, once a week or whatever. And it's just very strange to see how shut down everything is. The 101 has no traffic. Like it's bizarre.
Like if I ever had to drive down the freeway again, it would be an experience that I've never had before.
Yeah, for sure. So just over the weekend, I went to go drop off a gift at my parents' house for Mother's Day. My brothers and I got my mom something, so we went down there and gave them this gift, staying quite a ways apart the whole while. But what was funky was that where they live in a suburb northwest of LA. Where they live, it is completely normal looking. There's just the same number of cars driving around. There's just as many people out. That is to say, not many because it's a suburb, right? But it looks the same. And their experience, it seems so different. It was almost more jarring to me to see that it was so normal looking there, because for me here, it's like very obviously not normal. Hollywood Highlands, like a few blocks away, and it's closed. Like it's very obviously different. Pretty weird.
Yeah. I mean,
I live in a pretty quiet area as well, but it's just been unusually quiet because, just down the street is a whole bunch of restaurants, which used to have a lot of foot traffic, and then now all they do is just takeout. So that's just been a very eerie sight to see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like I keep thinking about the whole asymptomatic thing because, I mean, as I mentioned earlier when we were talking to Joe, I feel like there was just one night. I still remember that in the middle of the night, I woke up and I had trouble breathing. And I had the body aches, the lower body aches that like Joe was talking about. And I remember in that middle of the night, I was like, well, shit, I probably caught this. And here we go. Well, what am I going to do now? And, the thoughts kind of went through my mind. When I woke up in the morning, I was mostly fine. My legs were still a little sore and everything like that. But then it went away. And then I was like, oh, okay, so I guess it was nothing. Maybe it was just, paranoia in the middle of the night. But, hearing your situation and like I said, the fact that 4 people in your house and only one, has shown real signs of it. Like, I'm almost starting to feel like maybe the majority of the people out there might be asymptomatic. And so, that kind of makes me feel like maybe I did have it. Maybe a whole bunch of people had it. Because if I have it, I live with Olaf. And that means I've been giving it to Olaf. And he's fine right now. And he's been with his girlfriend. And, it's an interesting situation. And here, when I found out, when you mentioned that you had it, and I know you guys are in like this gamer house, like it really started kind of getting me thinking about that a lot more.
Well, what I've read is that the guess is that it's somewhere around a quarter of the population may be asymptomatic. Not that it's a majority, but still, that's a pretty substantial amount of people.
Yeah.
I guess, maybe you should get tested. Like I said, the city of LA is doing it for free.
It's I was actually one of the early parties to actually get tested. Like they just opened it up when I went and got tested, and so I figured, why the hell not? It turns out it only takes like 5 minutes. So I really encourage anyone who's in SoCal right now, in the chat, James yourself, to go sign up, get tested. It takes very little out of your day, and you never know who, like, you could be saving someone else the inconvenience of getting infected, or just having that extra knowledge alone.
Well, so let people know. I mean, I don't even know how to schedule. Like, how do you schedule a test for this?
All right, let me quickly double check the website. It was LACovid prod.service. If you Google that, it will, the first site up top will take you to the website to sign up, so you can give yourself an appointment for a free test.
Got it.
That's to LA for that. That's nice. So how are you feeling about all of this mentally, separately from the physical, which sounds like it wasn't too bad in your case? What's the emotional mindset?
Honestly, I can't complain. Like, I've got all the entertainment, all the things to do I can do in my room, different activities, different work I can do. I still get some casting director meetings from Zoom. I still I got plenty of room to train. As you can see, I've got a whole bunch of tools in the back of my room, bunch of games.
Have you had COVID and still been doing workouts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I was supposed to or not, but then I remember seeing that you're supposed to like kind of keep your lungs working, and then I wasn't sure who to believe, so I just said, okay, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing anyway. Like, I don't feel any more tired.
Okay.
Man.
Shout outs, dude. I don't know why not to work out. I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that you feel like you're able to.
Yeah, I mean, and before this, I was already training like maybe 6 times a week, so like this is just normal for me. And my lung capacity hasn't really felt any weaker, so like I was gonna stop the moment I would feel like I'm wheezing, but it just never happened.
Sounds good.
I mean, my fears that I had are clearly the reason why I'm not working out right now, Otherwise, I would totally, be on my normal workout schedule. Anyway.
Well, hey, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like to address?
At the moment, I think we've covered basically everything. If testing is available where you guys live, I highly encourage it. And yeah, it's like we're all in this together. So do your part, help each other out, and just be good to each other.
Yeah, and I mean,
sounds good, man. Thanks a lot for coming on.
One more thing. Obviously that's probably included in there, but for those people who do, like I asked Joe the same question, for those people who do believe it's a hoax, or think that they're not going to catch it, or that it's overblown or anything, like what would you say to them?
Specifically, the ones who think it's a hoax?
Yeah, or just that they're not taking it seriously.
To be, I'll be nice about it. It's take this seriously. This is, we know we've lost people already. We've lost good people to this disease. I don't know you, but I can tell you straight up that this is legit real. And you have a lot of people listening to open up California now. I mean, you have those who are just like complaining that I got to wear a mask while going out to the store. Yeah, those people, can fuck off for all I care. But, you have people who legit, they got bills to pay, they've got kids to feed, like that stuff. I feel for them. Like,
yeah, of course.
We're all hurting. Like they're hurting the most. And so, but, get through this. We all got to be in it together.
Sounds right to me. All right, man. Again, thanks a lot for coming on. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you guys for having me. You all stay safe.
And enjoy being released from the quarantine tomorrow.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right,
take care.
All right. Well, thanks again to both those fellows for coming on. That was really nice. Good to hear their perspectives. they're not the only people that we know who have had it. I'm sure you know people as well. I know people in my outside of FGC life too. I know other FGC people who have had it. I'm really, happy for both of them that their situations weren't so dire.
Yeah.
They both have been able to weather it pretty well, it sounds like, and that's really good to hear, at least.
It's really interesting because, one of the cool things about bringing them both on was that, Joe and Eliver's experiences were clearly like opposite ends of the spectrum, right? Like Joe had he was bedridden and in pain, the worst headache ever. And Joe and then Eliver saying that his headache was barely worse than any headache that he's had, before in the past and everything. So, it's really interesting to see the two different sides of it, and a good cautionary tale to people that just because you're not like feeling like you're dying doesn't mean that you might not have you might not have been infected with COVID, and you still have to be careful. And all the stuff that we do isn't necessarily to prevent ourselves from catching it, but it's to prevent us spreading it to other people, and that's the most important things.
And he reiterates in the chat, if you feel sick, don't work out. He's been lucky enough to not feel too bad, but if you do feel sick, that's not something to do.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, you want to say anything else on this subject?
No, just thanks to both Joe and Eliver. And again, like you said, we know a bunch of other FGC guys out there. Shout outs to Dr. Stance, who I know is doing well right now, who caught it as well. I don't know if you know of any other FGC guys who have caught it, but, shout outs to all of them. And
I do. I know that Louis Man and DR had
that's
it.
Right,
oh, there's
that's
a bunch
right.
to name. I don't know if I want to go through the whole list, but
okay.
there certainly are a good, I would say, dozen or so people who I know who have had it to varying degrees. And yeah, thankfully, most of them have been okay. Again, terrible news about Blue Jay. We talked about that several weeks ago at this point. A big loss to the FGC as a whole, to the Marvel community, to the New York scene. That's that's the worst.
Shout outs to guys like in the chat, Quago says this, but shout outs to Zaffarino, Tommy Two Step. Obviously, there's been other people tangentially in the FGC, Cats Reckless, Miss Gidget, all of them nurses in the world out there doing their best out there to, be on the front lines and take care of this stuff. I mean, they are.
Sonic Boom Brad is another one.
Yeah,
there's been a few for sure.
They are the real heroes out there right now doing this day after day. And there was a video out there of a nurse who was just talking about she can barely handle this anymore. It's so devastating to her on a mental capacity to go there day after day, seeing people sick, calling families, letting them know that their loved ones have passed away and they can't even, have a proper funeral for them and everything like that. It's tough out there. It's serious business. So definitely please take it seriously out there.
Sounds right. Okay. All right, man. Let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk about more fighting game related stuff.
Sounds good. And thanks for bringing Ajax here, by the way. He's so cute.
Oh. Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, he and your cats were playing off on the side over there, as you know. But he decided to finally come up here and hang out.
All right, cool. All right, then. We'll be right back, guys, and back with some game news. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Tuesday show here on twitch.tv/UltraChenTV. Let's keep going with some game news.
All right, well, let's get to the next topic up here on the top. And that is going to be Mortal Kombat the 11th, which has a new update coming out. It'll be Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath.
Mm-hmm. And
now, last week on the show, we talked about the fact that the next day, there was going to be some announcement. We didn't know what it was. We speculated. And it turns out that what it's going to be is a few different things. So from a competitive standpoint, the most important thing is that they are adding 3 characters right off the bat. Sheeva, Fujin, and RoboCop are all coming in. That's right, RoboCop.
So the characters that were silhouetted, it truly. Well, I mean, was that was Fujin and Sheeva, right, in the silhouettes?
No, it turns out that it was Nightwolf, so we were right about that.
Okay.
And it was actually Shang Tsung, and the other one was Fujin.
Okay, there you go. So
So Fujin was in there.
Okay, and
in addition, they are putting in classic stages, stage fatalities, and friendships. Finally, friendships are back, which is awesome.
Dude, you know what? Friendships right now, I will say, because we've obviously said this about the fatalities with the improved graphics, like it makes it harder to, to take some of the fatalities, but the friendships with the improved graphics, because I'll tell you, man, that Kano barbecue looks pretty good, dude.
The friendships that they've shown so far are amazing. Yeah, Kano's, he put another shrimp on the Barbie. And Noob Saibot, the nerdiest edgelord in any fighting game. What a nerd. His friendship is to do some jump rope.
With himself, with his clothes.
Which is hilarious.
I mean, honestly, like, I would just do not. I mean, I hope that there's no requirement, because in the old games,
I hope.
Yeah, because in the old games, you had to not use punches or not use kicks or something like that to be able to do the friendship
or whatever. Yeah,
because it was more of a kind of a, like a haha. I didn't have to use. I really hope there's no requirements to it, so that if we could just do friendships online all day, and that's it.
Yes,
that's it. So,
I mean, that's all I'll do. Right. All I'll do. What I really hope is that it gives you hearts in MK11 so that I can continue to open up chests. Because I don't want to do fatalities because I don't like them, and also they take too long. But this is hilarious, and they're shorter, so I'm happy about that. Sub-Zero's is very funny. He's giving out little treats.
Kung
Scorpion.
Lao, they just released Kung Lao's where he plays with the toy train.
That's pretty great. Yeah, and he goes choo-choo, which is funny. And Scorpion's, he spears a big stuffed teddy bear. And I heard that there was some lore about that, like how in some previous game he hated bears, or there's some deeper lore that they're having a joke about in that, which is awesome.
That is okay. I'm down with that. Look, obviously the guys who make MK are very good at the lore, given the results of Terminator and stuff, which obviously brings us to Mr. RoboCop here. This one is an interesting one.
Okay, so Sheeva and Fujin have both been playable before. Sheeva last time in MK9. Fujin 15 years ago. I don't remember which one was the last one he was in, but he's from MK4. Those characters have been requested, pretty highly requested, especially Fujin. Mm-hmm. People have been asking for him to come back for a long time.
I remember Fujin from 4 barely. I don't even remember what he does,
So he's like Raiden, but wind instead of lightning. He's a god, I guess. But in terms of gameplay, I don't really know too much about that. And I don't know that what he did in MK4 really is going to be important for how he plays in MK11, right? It's going to be really different anyway. Sheeva was a grappler in MK9. Mm-hmm. But in MK9, they didn't really have true command grabs,
right?
Especially after Cyrax back 1 got nerfed at the start. And so she instead had basically an overhead low mix-up along with some plus frames. She had some good stuff, but she was nevertheless one of the worst characters in the game.
Mm-hmm. But
so now that MK has good grapplers, they really have good command grabs, I'm really curious to see how Sheeva comes out like that. There's a little detail that was on IGN that said that she's gonna have the standing grab and crouching grabs again.
Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe that's good, especially in a game where crouch blocking gets you grabbed by highs and lows. I mean, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, because one of the reasons why I played Ferritor, Lakitor in MK10 was because he was one of the first true grapplers in Mortal Kombat, that he had to throw that grab standing and crouching. So I thought that was super cool. But obviously...
Well, yeah, we'll see for Sheeva. Okay, so RoboCop, right? Yeah. This is the one that's the big wrench that I don't think anybody saw coming. I've been staying away from rumors, all right? I've been staying away from leaks on purpose, but I hadn't heard any rumors about that even.
Look, that's an interesting. Did you see what Crownless King wrote in there? He's like, Ed Boon is Scorpion. He's from Chicago. Maybe it's a Chicago Bears thing. I don't know.
Why not?
That's a
Why
pretty...
not?
But here's the thing. RoboCop is very near and dear to my heart.
I know.
In a way that, like Darkstalkers, right? How I say that I don't want a new Darkstalkers game. I don't want Darkstalkers to be ruined. Yeah. And, that's kind of how I feel about RoboCop. So for those of you who don't know my history with RoboCop, I mean, I've watched this when I wasn't old enough to watch it, obviously. But, like, it very quickly became one of mine and my older brother's favorite movies of all time. In fact, it's still my brother's either number 1 or number 2 favorite movie of all time. And he's watched thousands and thousands of movies, okay? He's seen everything on the AFI Top 100. He's watched every Oscar movie. He's watched foreign films up the wazoo. He is the cinephile. He is the most cinephile kind of person that I know. And RoboCop...
Wasn't he a reviewer?
He used to be a reviewer, yes. Yeah. He used to be a reviewer. He was on Rotten Tomatoes for a while. You could see his stuff over there. And so, that's how much we respect RoboCop. In fact, while I do acknowledge that RoboCop 3 is a worse movie than RoboCop 2, I hate RoboCop 2 more because of how bad it was and disappointing it was after RoboCop 1. That by the time I got to 3, I was just like, you know what? It's all garbage. It doesn't matter at this point, kind of thing. And there's some people who still like RoboCop 2 because it's Frank Miller, it's dark and whatever, but it just shat on all the themes of the original RoboCop. So no, I just don't like it.
It's just quite different.
Yeah. And but again, see, I can talk about this forever. I can talk about the TV show. I can talk about the fan remake. I can talk about... I haven't seen the new reboot because I just didn't even want to bother with that,
Same with me.
And so
Same with me.
There's so much about RoboCop that's near and dear to my heart. And if you watch it and just think it's a funny action film, you're missing so much. There's like so much subtlety, satire, depth, like everything about that movie is great. I love everybody, all the actors of Clarence Boddiger's gang and everything like that. Dude, I watched the original TV broadcast because I just had to see how they would handle it. And I think it might be on the Criterion Collection, RoboCop, which, by the way, is another indication of how revered this movie is that Criterion has it. But the original, like, broadcast, like, the guy robbing the convenience store was like, F me, the whole time, all the time. And in the TV broadcast, they audio dubbed him that when he sees RoboCop, he's like, why me? Why me?
Oh, no.
Like, there was one scene where RoboCop says, like, don't move or there will be trouble. And the Asian gangster says, yeah, fuck you, basically, and cocks the gun and shoots him. And in the TV edit, they were like, there will be trouble. Yeah, fa you.
Oh, no. That's actually pretty genius, though.
Yeah. There was when Dick Jones is yelling at Bob Morton in the bathroom. He's like, and once they even called me, and like he says like some terrible slur, and in the TV show, he's like, once they even called me a lot worse.
That's great.
Dude, and the best one was the very end where Clarence Boddicker is being chased by Officer Lewis, and he runs into the toxic waste monster and splats him all over the window, right? Yep. And the best one is like, this is how it goes. He's sitting there driving. They show a scene of Clarence Boddicker look back at Lewis chasing him. He turns around and goes, ah, like this, and then he slams into the toxic waste guy who splatters all over his window, and then he drives into a crevice and crashes there. On the TV edit, I have no idea how they did this, but they show him driving the car, and then they see the toxic waste guy. Instead of him splatting into him, he swerves out of the way. So there was like an alternate take or something that they used. He swerves out of the way. Then they cut the scene of him looking back at Officer Lewis, like he's looking back at the toxic waste monster, and then he looks for it and goes, and then drives into the crevice. Like,
wow.
I was like, what the heck? Like, it was crazy. But, I mean, again, that was like 15, 20 years ago. I still remember all of that because of how much, RoboCop means to me and my brother. And so seeing that he's going to be in this game, like you joked with Joe, the stiff animations will work at least, but I just don't know if I can picture him doing jump combos or seeing him get fatality'd and stuff. I don't know. It just seems kind of weird to me,
I agree. I agree, to be honest. I think that they'll probably make him a fun character because I think that they do a good job of that. And I think that his animations will probably be good because although they have gotten better at animations, they're clearly great at stiff ones, and that's going to be what the character's like. I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, like.
But I'm a little bit worried because, the original movie is such a good satire and like an important movie, and I just watched it again after they announced this. I rewatched it online, and it was just as good as I remembered. I mean, it's really a really good movie. There's a lot of depth in it, and so when it comes to his how they portray him in Mortal Kombat, I think it can be done well. I think that there's a way that you could handle him where the satire survives. I think you could do that, and maybe they will. But I also think there's a way that you can handle it where he's just there to like maul and be violent, and that would be a little bit of a bummer, I think. I mean, there's certainly ways to do fatalities for him that are like in tune with the fact that the movies are very violent. Like that doesn't not make sense, right? But the way that you do them could be like, violence is great, or it could be like, well, we live in a violent world and that's not so great, but here's like a satire about it.
Right.
So we'll see.
I mean,
we'll see.
Like even just sitting here thinking about it, like you could obviously do a lot of really funny fatalities, but that reference the movie. Obviously, he can shoot someone in the balls, like he does in the movie, or like RoboCop walks up to him, or like you'll see Bob Morton walk up, hand the other guy a gun, and then run away, and then ED-209 comes out and shoots him up or something like that. But like, that would be more like a haha reference kind of thing, and not with the spirit of RoboCop. And I don't know, like me just picturing RoboCop jumping around and doing Mortal Kombat-y combos. And, and running.
A jump 3 for RoboCop? What does that look like? And running,
like, is he gonna run?
No, he won't run. No, he'll have a weird slow dash for sure.
Yeah, I hope so. That's kind of the thing. Like, would they even dare reference the flying RoboCop from 3? Like, would they even dare do stuff?
The gear move.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's just, it's going to be a tough one for me. It's either going to have to be that once he comes out, and that's the thing is, I respect what NRS has done because they respect the source material very well. So I hope they do him well. And so I'm hoping he comes out in such a way that I just have to play the character, because it's just like, here comes RoboCop and everything. And, I don't know. We'll see. I hope his friendship is that he gives you a 2000 SUX, or something like that. So
that would be so sick. So he's going to be a zoner. That's what the same description that had Sheeva still having the standing and crouching.
Oh, they did say he's going to be a zoner then.
Said that he's going to be a zoner.
Oh, sick. Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
And I think that makes a lot of sense, right? He's primarily going to be shooting his guns rather than combos up close. I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll see how it turns out, but that was definitely a surprise. Oh, and I should say as well that there's going to be tomorrow a gameplay trailer.
Yes.
And that trailer has there's currently a thing up on YouTube where it's like you can put a video live-ish in the sense that you can click on the link for it and then they'll say like this is starting at 6 a.m. in the morning. And that picture, that's the thumbnail essentially, has all three, Sheeva, Fujin, and RoboCop. So I assume that will have gameplay for each one of them. But, we'll see what turns out with that. And then in addition, there's a story expansion.
Yeah.
That's the first time that they have done a story expansion in one of their games. And it seems pretty big. It seems like it is pretty, as much in depth as the story mode that the game launched with is how it seems.
Right. And
there's a little preview clip that's floating around there on the internet that they put out that was kind of cool. And it has Fujin and there's a whole new storyline.
And Shang Tsung almost like trying to come out and save the universe now from Liu Kang and Raiden or something. If Liu Kang messes with time too much or something,
I think that might be the start of it, but yeah, who knows, right?
Seems actually pretty cool. Some people asked in the chat if this would get me to pick up the game again. The worst part about it is, like, in my mind, I've never actually dropped the game. That's the problem. Tekken, this game, Soulcalibur, every one of those games. In my mind, I haven't actually dropped the games. I've just been playing other stuff, and it's just rough. Now,
man, I know the feeling. I haven't played the game in a few weeks. I've been playing KI and SF5.
Yeah. And I heard some people saying that they don't like the cost of it. That there's some...
Okay, right. So let's talk about the cost.
Sure.
So if you are somebody who doesn't already own MK11, then buying this complete thing is $59.99. Right. It's just you're buying the game, right? Mm-hmm. Same cost. If you're somebody who has MK11 and wants to upgrade to Aftermath, and you just want Aftermath itself, so Sheeva, Fujin, RoboCop, story expansion, then that is $39.99. And if you want MK11 Aftermath plus the Combat Pack bundle, $49.99 is what that will be.
Ooh, okay.
Let me just double check that I have that correct. I believe so.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes, the Combat Pack bundle for $49.99. And if you don't want to spend any money and you already have MK11, then you're going to get the classic stages, stage fatalities, and friendships all free.
Just not the characters, basically.
Not the characters, not the story.
I mean, does the $59.99 one like come with a whole bunch of stuff automatically unlocked, like costumes and all that stuff, kind of like CE for Street Fighter?
Let's see. So this compilation includes Mortal Kombat 11 along with all content from Mortal Kombat 11. Hold on a second. Yes, along with all content from Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath and the previously released MK11 Combat Pack containing 6 playable characters, plus 25 additional character skins. So yeah, you basically get all the characters that are in MK11 so far and a bunch of skins, 25 additional skins.
Right, but it doesn't say like all the stuff is unlocked, like CE gives you all the costumes or anything like that, right?
I mean, it says 25 additional character skins.
Oh, okay, 25 skins. Okay. So it might be an alternate skin for a lot. I mean, it almost...
A lot of characters have alternate skins, yeah.
I mean, it feels like maybe then just buying the $59.99 one might be the way to go, because are you really saving that much over the $49.99 one? Because so the combat pack that comes with that is Combat Pack 2 or 1?
With the $59.99?
The $49.99 one.
The $49.99. It says MK11 Aftermath plus Combat Pack bundle, and there's not a good explanation for what Combat Pack bundle means.
Okay, that probably
yeah.
That probably means the first Combat Pack bundle.
Maybe.
I don't know. It sounds kind of pricey. Let's just put it that way. So, but again, it's a lot of work, and the story mode is probably one of the big selling points, basically.
I'm trying to look up what you mentioned.
Oh, because the thing is...
So I think this means that there's a new combat pack and that you're going to get the characters involved.
If you buy the $40 expansion, doesn't that come with the characters or no?
Yes.
So then you said there's the $50 one that is the expansion plus the combat pack.
Oh, right. So combat pack bundle, which I assume means that there's new stuff. Right.
Right. So is that a new combat pack or is that the old combat pack?
I'm doing my best here, James. I believe it means that there's new
Okay.
stuff.
Basically, we don't know. We'll find out more probably tomorrow. So
Yeah. I mean, I got a whole like fact sheet that they sent around.
I think Mr. Ocean Style is probably right. If you own MK11 and you don't have Combat Pack 1 or 2, you can get both for $50. You can just get the Combat Pack 2 stuff for $40. Or if you don't own the game, you can spend $60 and get everything, basically.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think that's probably makes sense. Right, so Aftermath is what I'm calling Combat Pack 2, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Right, so in that case, the $40 one, the $39.99 one is MK11 Aftermath, which includes Sheeva, Fujin, and RoboCop.
Right.
And then the $50 one, the $49.99, is Sheeva, Fujin, RoboCop, and also the
Combat Pack 1.
Combat Pack Season 1.
Yes. Okay.
That's my best understanding of this.
I mean, what do you think of those prices?
I mean, honestly, for me, I think they're okay. I'm happy that there's a new story thing. It might have been nice if they had separated it a little bit more, because there are people who really care about the story, and there are people who don't really care about the story. And I know that there's a lot of competitive players who would just get the characters, you know. And I think that you can buy the characters separately now that I think about it, but I think it's not part of the pack.
Right.
So anyway, for me, the amount is fine. I know that there's a lot of work that goes into the story. The story is something I'm really looking forward to. The characters are things I'm really looking forward to. I also am cool with making sure that the people who work at NRS are being taken care of well. The story last year when MK11 came out, or maybe it was before that, there were stories about the contractors not being treated well, for example, and there being crunch, and that the crunch was pretty gnarly. And if we could pay a little bit more so that people like don't have to work in poor conditions, or if they can spend a little bit more time, that is to say, like drag it out a little bit longer, to avoid crunch, I'm totally cool with that.
Right.
Totally cool with that.
Yeah, I mean it's tough, obviously, for people who've supported the game since the beginning, because now they bought Season 1 pass already.
Yeah.
And they bought the game already, and now the Season Pass 1 was like what, like $20 or something, I think it was.
I actually don't remember. I'm going to defer to people in the chat if they know.
Right. But obviously, like for the people who don't care about the story, can they buy the 3 characters without it? You know.
Yeah, I think there are a la carte options.
Okay. Combat Pack 1 was $40 as well? Is that right, Koga Jangles? Because I swear I would remember spending that much for it. Yeah, but it had 6 characters for sure. You know, it's just it's a tough situation. But again, you know, we all know how much more video games cost to make these days. And like you said, if that does go into helping the studio itself make sure that the players, the devs and the QA and everybody there are treated a little bit better. But again, we have no idea, right? It could be a situation where Warner Brothers just pockets most of that, and we don't know.
I guess we don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had heard that there were a la carte options, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Man, I totally thought I had prepared well enough for today, but I guess I hadn't. My bad.
Hey, look, I was napping.
I had the whole fact sheet out here, and I was like, I'm ready. Bring me the questions.
Dude, I was napping half an hour before the show started, so you don't have to worry about slacking at all. So I was the one slacking. But yeah, I mean, again, pretty expensive, but again, it almost feels like if you got it early and you haven't been keeping up, like let's say you bought the game originally and haven't bought Combat Pack 1, at this point it almost feels like you're almost better off just buying the whole $60 game for $10 more. You get a lot more skins and stuff like that. I mean, if that gave me non-zombie Katana and Liu Kang and Kung Lao and stuff like that right from the get-go, I would definitely Because I played so much of the Crypt and everything just to get non-zombie versions of those characters.
Right.
Oh, man. I mean, that's the thing is, like, if you already have it, I feel like they could make the upgrade a little cheaper, maybe. Then I don't know.
I mean, honestly, for me, it's fine. And I don't. I'll have a different perspective, I'm sure, than other people, but it seems pretty reasonable to me. I mean, I know that I'm like an early adopter,
Right.
and I know that companies make their money largely on people who do that. And you know, there's not many things that I'm an early adopter for. I don't do that with technology in general. I have a mid-range phone that I bought 2 years ago, and it was already mid-range at that time. But there are some things that I do that with, and games, basically, that's it. Fighting games, basically, that's it. So you know, I think it's fine. I would rather support them.
We also have a slight benefit
go.
that we can write off our games.
I guess that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
But like I said, I mean, it's tough. It's tough because, yes, it's conflicting, right? Because I think that it's a little overpriced. That's kind of my standpoint. But at the same time, we know all these people out there who are part of the studio, and we know about the stories of the work conditions. If this money means that the people who made the game get to see a lot more of it, and, you know, it costs that much more because they didn't crunch and they took their time to make it, as opposed to having this come out in like 8 months after the game, you know what I mean, kind of thing. If that the reason why it's coming out now instead of 6 months earlier is because they just took the time to stretch out the schedule to not crunch people, but that means they had to pay people a lot more money, then I'm okay with it, right? So it's that weird
speculation on our part. We don't know that, but
right.
I hope that's true.
Again, it's kind of that conflicting situation, and you know, if anybody can confirm, you know, at NRS, it's probably NDA and nobody can really say anything. But
yeah, they probably can't say anything about that stuff.
Exactly. So
the other cool thing about this story expansion, like I said, it's the first time that they've done that. This implies to me that they are going to indeed continue to support the game for longer than the previous games that have come out.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been rumors about that even before the game came out. There were rumors that it would be a 4-year lifespan. Recently, Ed Boon said something about how he'd like it would be something that they're supporting longer, and that he can't say that it will be in Season 4 when Injustice 3 comes out or whatever.
Right, yeah.
But that they'd like to support it more. So this is a sign that they're actually going to do that, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And not only that, but, you know, there was something in the chat that I saw. It kind of reminds me of the frame data stuff in Tekken. Remember how a lot of people were very mad about that, about having to pay for that, something that should have been there, and, you know, it was part of the season pass. So if you had the season pass, so I think it's probably going to come down to something very similar, right? It's the empathy of supporting the people making the game versus are you serious? You're charging me this much for this thing that I don't think is worth that much. And there's really no correct answer on it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's subjective, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm just happy that it means that they're going to support the game longer, or that's what I assume that it means.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited to be able to play a Mortal Kombat game for like 3 or 4 years. You know?
Yeah.
I was thinking about the other day, like, imagine the difference between SF5 at launch and now, or the difference between BlazBlue at launch and the final one that they put out,
right.
or SF4 at launch and Ultra. Like, whenever a game lasts for multiple iterations of itself, it ends up being quite a different game. And in general, maybe not categorically, but in general, I feel like it ends up as a better product at the end.
Yeah. And who knows, even if they didn't make any system changes, because like we're suspecting there's going to be more moves like Spawn has, where he can just kill breakaways and stuff like that, you know. Even if they don't change it, we're only a year into MK11. We could actually still be playing the game completely wrong. It is very, very possible, because that's what happens a lot of times. First year of Street Fighter 4, if we had kept playing vanilla all the way up until now, it would be a completely different game. Same thing with Street Fighter V. The reason people ask, like, I said by the end of season 1, Nash probably wouldn't even be top 7 anymore, and everyone's like, what changed? Like what happened? And I was just like, we just got better at the game, and we started figuring out what the game was more. Yeah, I mean, the workers getting paid more seems like wishful thinking, for sure.
We just don't know.
We don't know, but I mean, look, if people who watch the stream enough, they know I'm always wishful thinking optimism man, so I'm always hoping for the better.
Of course, yeah.
So,
MK11 Aftermath comes out on May 26th. Now, the thing about the date, May 26th, is that it is a Tuesday, and that previous weekend was Combo Breaker.
Oh, right. So it was probably supposed to be announced at Combo Breaker, huh?
It was probably supposed to be announced like Sunday, May 24th at Combo Breaker, and that it will be playable on Tuesday. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Like, guess what, everybody? New story, and Fujin, and Sheeva, and RoboCop, and we would all just be losing our minds in the crowd.
Oh, that would have been hype.
Then none of that could happen.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, trust me, I would.
I mean, like, alternatively, maybe they would have announced it at Final Kombat if they had a crowd there.
Right. I
Who
mean,
knows? I don't know.
honestly, like, if I was in the Combo Breaker crowd and they showed RoboCop, I'm not even sure how I'd react. I'd probably been like, what?
Yes, yeah.
There's that one, famous meme gif of that little girl just going, like, that would have been me, dude.
I hear that.
Oh, man.
Right. Well, heads up, there's a gameplay trailer tomorrow morning. So keep your eye on that if you are interested. Anything else to say about this?
Nope.
Okay. Then let's move on to the next one. 5-5 matchup.
Yep. And
All right.
we've got some pre-vote stuff to talk about this time, right?
We do. Oh, yeah, I left the pizza one up there. I totally forgotten about that. Hey, everybody! A Chicago area pizzeria sells what it calls a double-decker pizza, in the sense that they have a pizza on the bottom, and it's got all the normal stuff. It's got cheese and sauce and toppings. And then on top of that, they place a secondary, smaller pizza. And then they kind of wrap the sides together so that it forms one super pizza. They call it a double-decker pizza. Is that, in your opinion, one pizza, or is that two pizzas? This is not deep dish. This is like a regular kind of thickness of pizza.
That's two pizzas. That's two pizzas.
That's two pizzas?
Yeah.
Do you don't think that's just like one very thick pizza?
No, I think it's two pizzas. Because the thing about it is, like, if you eat a sandwich, are you eating one piece of bread or two pieces of bread?
Well, you're eating one sandwich. It's the combination.
Right, but you're still eating two. You would say you're eating two pieces of bread, right? So if you put a pizza...
Yeah, I would, but I'm not... And I would say I'm eating two pieces of bread if I eat this pizza, because there's two layers of bread. But I'm eating one pizza.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a double-decker pizza.
Because there's a lot of things that are, like this inside of this, and you consider it two, right? So...
Do you? Like, isn't a turducken just one turducken?
Well, that's only because they gave it... I was actually going to bring up the turducken, which is really funny. But, I mean, see, if you ate a turducken, would you say you only ate one bird, or would you say that you ate three birds?
Yeah, you have multiple birds, but you have one of the meal. Like, it's a combined meal.
Right. So, in this situation, you're eating one double-decker pizza.
Correct.
But that's two pizzas. Just like you're eating one sandwich, but you have two bread.
Two bread. Okay. Is a double two burgers?
A double is one burger with two patties.
Why is it different?
Because that's the way it works, right? Because
I know that's how it works. I think it's one burger, to be clear, but I also think that this is one pizza.
Look, you're putting a pizza.
How much bread in this pizza are there?
You're just putting a pizza on top of a pizza. It's a double-decker pizza. That's what I'm gonna say.
And there's a video of that double-decker pizza, the person whose shop it is, and the quote is, "We're really proud of my grandfather's invention. 2 layers of pizza. Unbelievable." That's a quote. All right, enough about that. Let's talk about this SamSho Twitter stuff.
Okay, sure.
So, can you explain what happened there?
Let's do this. Hang on a second. Iroha. So, Iroha is the newest character in Samurai Shodown.
Okay.
Iroha is a character designed to be fan service. That's what she was literally designed to be.
What do you mean by fan service?
She's just supposed to appeal to all the horny males out there, basically. So.
Those are fans, right?
Yeah, so she just is, she's got huge tracts of land. She's got, skimpy outfit, thick thighs. Her she gets naked behind, curtains and all these things like that. So she's basically designed to be that way. So much to the point that the producer of the current SamSho refused to put Iroha in the game. He actually said, I do not want Iroha in this game because she is against what I want and blah, 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 blah. And every fan poll out there for who do you want to see put in the game, Iroha won every single one of them. And so the producer was like, fine. And now Iroha's in the game.
Okay.
And so obviously she's designed to appeal to, her sexuality is, the large part of her appeal as a character design.
Okay.
And so the SamSho Twitter just decided to, the official SamSho Twitter decided to tweet out some, memes about it, saying, for example, that they're horny on main. They said, we're horny on main now. I actually did not know where that came from. I actually had to look it up like on a meme site or Urban Dictionary or whatever like that. But it basically means that you usually have your sub account to do all your horny stuff. And your main account is where you don't do it. And so when you say you're horny on main, it's like, that's what it means. I was like, oh, okay. I had no idea.
Okay.
But, and then after a while, I think it was like Reddit Street Fighter tweeted something, and then they responded with, catch these cheeks, instead of catch these hands or something like that. So some people took offense to that, especially, in the gaming culture of just depiction of women and, a lot of times women not being taken as seriously in the fighting game community. And so, we had a few people in particular take offense to it. And apparently the person who's responsible for their Twitter got warned. They deleted all the tweets and they issued an apology. Now, what that usually means is that now attracts the attention of everybody who didn't give a crap about Samurai Shodown at all. Yeah. And they're all super mad about it because it's censorship and it's just fun. It's memes, it's appealing to their audience. The game is rated M anyway, et cetera, et cetera. So there's just a lot of, people out there who are mad that now the Samurai Shodown SNK is catering to the SJWs, as they say on the webs, on the web, on the internet. And so there's a little bit of drama going around about that. So, what do you think about the whole situation?
Well, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think what I think is probably secondary to what the women who felt that it was disrespecting them feel, and they expressed that it was something that they didn't like. I'll take them at their word. I think that's the most important thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
To believe people when they say that they feel like they have been, disrespected or that there's been negative feelings created by somebody else. I mean, sure. So when I read that there are people who felt that way, especially women who felt that way, that makes sense to me, and I will support them in that.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
But do you feel like the suspension shouldn't have happened? Do you think that the tweets were fine, or No,
again, I think that it's. Yeah, I'm with the women who said that they were offended by it.
Okay.
And so I do think that there should have been. I'm happy that the tweets were deleted as a result. I think that makes sense. I don't really know what happened internally there, but whoever did make those tweets was getting ahead of themselves.
Right.
I think it's important that members of the FGC feel like they are not being attacked. Especially when it comes to like the developers of the games that we play. Like that's, I gotta imagine, extra crappy.
That's right. And then one of the just to add to the story here, Cone reminded me about this, that one of the main devs for Samurai Shodown, replied to one of the women who was upset by the situation and apologized and everything. And so a lot of the people who are angry about the apology got mad at him for siding with the women, and they basically chased him off of Twitter. So basically,
that sucks.
Yeah.
Somebody who's not even related to the Twitter account,
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have any control over that stuff. That's a big bummer. And like I said, I don't know terribly much about SNK internally, but the people who I do know more about that have been tweeting about how they think that's, really wrong for that guy to have been attacked, and that is not only bad in that sense that you just shouldn't have done it because he's unrelated, but also that he is somebody who has fought for the FGC in the past and has had an important role in making games that lots of players have ended up liking.
Right.
Well, I think that sucks. It seems, from what other people who I've read have been saying, it seems like there's lots of people who have sort of supported the tweets out of there's just this weird, very funky victim mentality among people who are absolutely not being marginalized at all. And that's sort of, there's a movement behind that. And
right. That's,
it's not just fighting game players. It's people who don't play fighting games, might not even play SamSho, who have gotten on board on that.
Right.
And that sucks. But additionally, there certainly are some people in the FGC who feel that same way. We are not isolated from that. That's for sure. And so, to those people, I wish that they would pay more attention to what the people who feel like they're being attacked, women involved. I wish they'd pay more attention to what the women say. I really don't want to have a community that prioritizes memes over like having women involved in the scene. I think that really, really sucks.
Yeah, what a lot of people are saying is that, they didn't really have any problems with the tweet. It was just that it was on the official Samurai Shodown account, that it was on the official account. I think this is kind of just pointing to an overall larger problem right now, that brands are trying so hard to be clever and be like people.
I hate that phenomenon so much, Jay.
It kind of started. It started with Sonic the Hedgehog, right? And then Wendy's really kind of pushed it over the edge. And then now every brand is trying to do every time there's a meme, you'll see every brand try to do their own version of the meme, and they're always trying to, be hip and with it and kind of thing. Arby's kind of did it when it was started to, make the Mortal Kombat logo with their fries and things like that. That is kind of all part and parcel of it, because now, you feel like, where are you supposed to draw the line between being, hey, look, I'm a brand, but I'm your friend, I'm your buddy, and hey, I'm a brand, I represent a lot of things, and there are consequences, to what we're doing. Now, obviously, this is coming also from a brand that made Embrace Death go so viral that people got paranoid about it, right? So is Embrace Death, as acceptable as Horny on Main, for example? Embrace Death obviously is more violent, is more macabre, and I know a lot of us praised them for the Embrace Death hashtag. I thought it was a really smart hashtag at the time, but
I didn't like it the whole time.
Okay. So
I personally like that less. I think that's worse. But,
right. Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I definitely never used the hashtag.
Yeah. No, not a lot of people really argued the Embrace Death hashtag. I didn't hear any stink about it, to be honest with you, outside of when it started trending. I think because of Justin.
Yeah, I mean there were funny misunderstandings, but I don't know. It's not something I would have done. That's for sure.
Right.
Anyway, look, I really don't like that phenomenon of people feeling as if they're under attack because women have been attacked. Earlier, you called it fan service, right?
Well, that's the character.
Okay. But what you mean by that is appealing to sex, sort of sexual urges of straight men. Right? That's what that means. And there are some instances where you clarify where it's like fan service for women, and there's some sort of smaller realms where fan service might mean that it's for a gay audience too. But in general, when you use that term, it means the thing where it's about you conflate a fan with a sex-obsessed straight guy, right? That's what a fan is in that phrase's conception of things. That's how much power there is among straight guys, right? That rather than saying that this is something that appeals to a straight guy, it's just the neutral term for it, because you assume that those people are the ones who have control. And so when women express themselves that they're upset with how something is going, to feel as if that's an attack, as if there's a marginalizing of straight guys, is just so absurd. So absurd. It doesn't need to mean sexuality, of course, but that's how we use it in common parlance.
Yeah.
That's how we use it.
So
yeah, anyway, chill out, everybody. Let women hang out in the scene, please.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, it's just brought up this whole argument debate again, of when MK11 decided to cover up their women a little bit more, when DOA 6 came out and looked like they were trying to be less swimsuity, and more realistically proportioned and stuff, and it just feels like that this is a cycle that keeps happening at this point in time. So
that's definitely not on me, guys. That's how the words are used. Come on. Of course, and it's not like it's exclusively for guys, although again that is how we use the term. But some of the women who I saw talking about the tweet said that they themselves like the character Iroha, right? That's not exactly what they're upset about. I'm just using that example as an indication of how common it is to just appeal to straight guys.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, of course.
They said they didn't mind the character existing. They just didn't like the official account tweeting something that kind of is, demeaning, could be considered demeaning, for example, right? Yeah. Okay.
Man, imagine believing that MK9 Scarlet is sexier than MK11 Scarlet. I don't understand at all, but okay. She's so cool at MK11.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Anything else to say about this?
Probably I have a lot more to say about it, but I just don't want to.
You got it, man. All right, well, in that case, let's move on to the weekly 5-5 viewer questions poll.
All right.
Sound good?
Yep. What are our options here?
Okay, let's bring up the results. Question number 1. Is there a difference between a character having legitimate gameplay options and having flashy or cool stuff to do? If so, which one is better for a newcomer? 2. What fighting games are good for kids to learn? Should developers make a game geared towards kids? 3. Who are the best players, commentators, etc. when it comes to predicting character tiers? Whose opinions are the most trustworthy or accurate in terms of early evaluation of character strengths and weaknesses?
Oh boy.
4. Everybody's going to say themselves. 4.
Yep.
What are the nuances between the different fighting game subgenres? 5. Can fighting game rosters be too big? If so, how many is too many? 6. How easy should fighting games be for beginners? Thinking of games like Dive Kick and Rising Thunder. 7. If you had a genie that could only turn bad games fun, which 3 bad fighting games would you wish to be good?
Oh man.
So, those are the 7.
Okay.
And the winner is number 5. Can fighting game rosters be too big? And if so, how many is too many? What do you think?
Can this fit on here? Can this question be too big? Yeah, it is a little too big, but whatever. 3 lines is 3 lines. Okay. All right. Can fighting game rosters be too big? Yes.
Yes, they can.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Especially depending on the game's depth. Whereas a game, again, people can correct me if I'm wrong because I don't know the game very well. Most characters in Brawlhalla are like the same character, so you can just add as many characters as you want, and it's basically you just pick up different weapons. But when they add like Adventure Time characters, I think that they're all like basically the same character, and so in that case, then that's fine. But I really do feel like Ultra Street Fighter 4, maybe even Street Fighter 5, the rosters are actually getting kind of large. It's to the point where if you are new and trying to get into the game, it's very, very hard. Very, very hard. Minor differences in attacks. Okay, minor differences in attacks.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Smash Ultimate, gigantic roster. That's really hard to handle. Now, for Smash Ultimate, the majority of the players don't really mind that because they're playing free-for-all and stuff like that. But, from a competitive aspect, it's very difficult and it's very scary and hard to deal with. MK11 is in a particular interesting situation because they've got variations on top of different characters and stuff. So there's a lot of things that you have to keep track of. And I've always, by the time they got to 44, 45 characters in Ultra Street Fighter 4, I felt like the roster was too big and that they should stop adding characters. And I kind of feel that way about 5 right now, outside of the fact that the most recent characters they've added are all so cool that I almost kind of want more characters just to replace the less cool characters. But I do think that the roster sizes can be too big in fighting games because it just gets bloated. It's too hard. And at some point, I really do think it does dilute the skill a little bit because you will just run into characters that you just don't have experience with. You're just going to lose to them because you just never had the chance to lab them. And it's not even just a matter of like, then it's your responsibility to lab because it's also your responsibility to find someone who's good with that character to train how to fight them because you're not going to get that good with the character. And so can you find 44 experts out there or are you going to become a proficient expert in all 44 characters? Impossible,
Yeah.
So that's how I stand. So
look, I mean, I absolutely agree that there's a limit to how many characters can be should be in a game. And that varies really drastically. So as you were talking, I looked up how many characters are in these various games. And in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, there are 74 or 76 characters playable. And there will be 86 or 88, which is incredible. Because many of those are quite distinct, right? It's not like they're... Some of them are clones, essentially, but many of them are really different from each other. And in Ultimate Marvel 3, there were... looks like 48. In MK11, there are 34. In Ultra Street Fighter 4, there were 44. In SF5, there are 40. In Killer Instinct, the 2013 one, there were 26 characters. And I feel like that is almost harder than there being 40 characters in Street Fighter 5. So it's just really dependent on the game and the complexity of the characters. I didn't know about Brawlhalla having many similarities among characters, but okay, that makes more sense as to how there can be see many.
Obviously, for games like Marvel versus Capcom, there's like 50-some characters, but it's team-based, right?
Team-based.
So,
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So you have 3 characters, right? And the way that Marvel 2 ended up working is like, it doesn't even matter. There's like 10 characters in reality.
That's true.
And Melee has like 10 characters, you know? But when it comes to other games, like I said, I think that 26 in Killer Instinct, with the very high level of complexity that those characters have, that is as hard or harder as learning 40 characters in SF5. So I think that there can be, and 44 in SF4 and stuff, I think that there can be pretty big differences among games in terms of when it becomes too onerous to like really know everything about a game. You know, I asked Keats not long ago, I was like, do you think anybody has really mastered KI? And he's like, I don't know if anybody's actually mastered KI. Yeah. 29 is the number? Okay, for KI. Even though there are fewer characters than in many other games, there's just such a really high level of complexity to learn everything about them that, you know, good luck doing that. So it really just depends, but I can definitely sometimes get fatigued on characters. When Ultra Street Fighter 4 came out with new characters, I wasn't excited for it. I ended up liking Hugo a lot, but yeah, I didn't think that there needed to be anything more. I don't think there needs to be anything more in SF5. I'm taking the affirmative position that I do not want more characters in that game.
Okay.
Please do not put in any more characters in that game. It's at a great number. Let's just keep playing this game for the next 2 years. Like, please, that's my ideal for SF5, is like the exact same game, maybe tiny balance changes here and then for like the next several years. I'd be super happy.
Third Strike was like 19 characters, I think it was.
Was it that many? I think it might have been 17.
Because I think it's 676, right? It's either 676 or 565. So it's either 16 or 19 characters based off of the menu screen. Unless, of course, there was random select in there. I can't remember.
Looking up the number of characters. I don't know how I never remember this. You know what I mean?
Because it's a weird number. That's why.
But, like, how could you forget how many characters are in a game that you've put in thousands of hours?
Because only 4 of them matter. No, I was kidding.
21. So 19 characters, yes.
19 characters. Okay, yeah. That's what I thought. Okay.
Anyway, and that's, for me, that's a fine number.
Yeah.
So, in conclusion, definitely there can be too many characters in the game, but there's not like an individual hard and fast number to what the maximum is, because team-based games, it makes sense that there'd be more, and characters that don't have quite as much complexity, I think you could have more of them and it wouldn't be so bad. But for games with really high levels of complexity, I don't really need that many.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, more characters is the biggest benefit of that, is that you do give a lot more opportunities for different people to find a character that they like, and that's always a big benefit. But again, you know, we're coming from a completely different standpoint. If I was just a casual player, you know, I probably would love a bunch of characters, and heck, add more to Street Fighter V. But unfortunately, both of us are under the lens of tournaments and watching these people trying to win games for $250,000, you know, kind of situation in terms of Street Fighter V. And, you know, just we understand how painful that is. So we definitely come from a little bit of a painted, you know, biased view, probably.
Of course.
But guys, some of those older games when they did have too many characters, like it was tough. It was tough. And even something like Melee, I felt like had a ton of characters, and now freaking 78, you said, in Ultimate? Jeez. I don't even see, like, now I feel like, Ultimate's another one of those games that I've never officially dropped, but, like, I haven't really played the game since Piranha Plant, and so, like, I don't even know how the hell I could even get into that game at all at this point, so.
Yeah, man. Well, alright. Anything else to say about that one?
Nope.
Alright, well, which one of these do you want to answer? Which additional one?
So let's see. Is there a difference between a character having legitimate gameplay options and having flashy, cool stuff to do? If so, which one is better for a newcomer? I could probably talk about that one. What fighting games are good for kids to learn? That's an interesting one, actually. That
one, by the way, in the actual question, it said except for Smash, because I think the idea that the poster had was that Smash already is good for kids to learn.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Who are the best players, commentators when it comes to predicting character tiers? Like you said, that one's pointless.
Everybody thinks they're the best.
Yeah. What are the nuances between the different fighting games? That one's too complicated to answer, I think. How easy should fighting games be for beginners? Thinking of things like Dive Kick and Rising Thunder. That one and the game geared towards kids could kind of fall into the same question a little bit. And if you had a genie that could turn bad games fun, which 3 fighting games? Oof. So for me, I would probably want to go for either the how easy should fighting games be for beginners, or is there a difference between a character having legitimate gameplay options or having flashy and cool stuff to do? Which one is better for a newcomer? Both kind of newcomerish questions. I'll let you be the tiebreaker.
Actually, I was going to go for the Game Genie one.
You were going to go for the Game Genie one?
Yeah.
All right, let's do both then. Let's do the Game Genie one
start.
first. Let's do the Game Genie one first.
Okay,
Since
sure.
you wanted to answer it, what is your answer?
If I had a genie that could only turn bad games fun, which 3 bad fighting games would I wish to be good? Okay, so my 2 most real answers are FX Fighter and...
Just so you can enjoy the music?
Yes, and Fighter's Destiny 2. So, FX Fighter, right, because the soundtrack is already, like, top 5 ever in fighting games, but the rest of the game is basically awful. What if that game actually had sit gameplay, and so you could just, like, play and enjoy, and it would be awesome? And you get to listen to that amazing soundtrack. That would be really awesome, I think. I'd be really happy about that one. So that would be a good one for me. And then Fighter's Destiny 2. Fighter's Destiny is the series where the rounds were decided by points. The matches were decided by points, I should
that's
say.
right.
Where if you get a knockdown, I think that was 3 points. If you get, if you kill with like a certain special move, that's a different amount of points.
Right.
If you hit them enough to dizzy them and then do like the Ender move, that's more points. If you ring out, it's less. So I like that idea because it gives such interesting weights to stuff. But the game sucks. It's really imbalanced. It's, some of the characters are just really boring. They're just like uninspired and uninteresting. A couple of them are definitely cool and have some cool ideas, but for the most part, they're just... The only interesting thing about that game is the points.
Okay.
But I think the points could be done well. And we've never really seen another game do it. So I'd love to see a take on Fighter's Destiny where the characters are balanced and fun and interesting. And on top of that, you have this cool point system. And some characters are like better at ringing out, so they can get 1 point at a time. And some characters are better at getting this knockdown thing, so they get more points at a time, but they suck at everything else, right? Like, there could be really cool, I think, ways to balance that kind of a game. So I think that would be cool. And then my last pick for bad games that I could turn fun, that would be, I would say, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike.
Wait, what?
If I had a genie and I could just go back in time and make it so that they didn't make Chun-Li too good,
Right.
and they didn't make 12 too weak and Q too weak, if I could just have a genie that would just have made it a balanced game the whole time.
Right.
that would be what I would want to do.
Yeah.
Okay, now I already think the game is a blast, but it's got problems. There's certainly ways that it's gnarly and bad, 100%. So I would love to get rid of those things. That's not the same thing as saying that I want to balance the game now. It's too late. It's too, come on. It's 20 years into this thing. The people who still like that game are just cool with it. We're playing it. But what if you could just have gone back in time, or have a genie now make it so that this entire time it's actually been well balanced? That would just be so amazing.
I honestly do think you could balance it today and still make it work for the experts out there. Nobody's tried that yet. Nobody gone
wants
that
to play
route. Nobody has gone that route so far.
But more importantly, I don't think people are going to play it.
Maybe.
I don't think there's an audience for that.
Maybe.
I mean, some people would, but I think that as far as the top level players, they play Third Strike.
Right. Well, I mean, look, you obviously took it to that serious level. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do that because, I was trying to think of this from like legit bad game. Like bad, because obviously Third Strike's not a bad game.
No, it's not. It's a really good game.
Yeah, if we were talking about like legit bad game that we could turn good, then I would probably choose Street Fighter Cross Tekken. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, I almost said SamSho, so
I'm kidding because I would never want that game improved anyway. So like for me, I guess one of the answers might be something like maybe like a Rival Schools 2, because I've always been kind of interested in the premise of Rival Schools, and Rival Schools 2 has a bunch of infinites, that kind of thing like that. Okay. And so, it's just, it's very Kusoge. And I would really like to see that game, a Rival Schools done right. A Rival Schools done well kind of situation. God, what the hell else would I want fixed? I mean, in the same vein, it would be awesome to do a more balanced Super Turbo, like you said, for Third Strike, right? So, obviously, someone actually tried to do that just recently. There's Legacy, I forgot what they called, the Street Fighter Super Turbo, the Legacy or something like that. And, Born to SPD made a balance to it. But, again, I feel like it was more than it should have been. Like I
agree.
I just don't think that that's the way it's, which is why I've talked about how I want to see if I could do something similar to what he did and make my own balanced version, because I want to see if I can make a more balanced version that would not change a lot and yet still be balanced. It's an interesting experiment. You know what I mean? How much can you retain the heart of the game and keep it balanced at the same time, or is the game at heart just very unbalanced? That's kind of the experiment that I would like to check out with.
Yeah, it was called New Legacy, by the way.
New Legacy, that's what it was. Okay.
And I thought it was interesting that Born to SPD, I looked at the changes. He was trying to make the old and new characters both work. Like, he tried to differentiate them rather than combining them into just one character. Which I think is I haven't seen other people do that when I mean, how long we've been talking about balancing Super Turbo, right? Forever. But typically that's like, well, let's just like combine. Sagat is just going to be between new Sagat and old Sagat, right? Like that's. Yeah, but no, he wanted to actually make them different, which I thought was interesting. But again, I agree with you that there were too many changes involved.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with that, obviously, is that it doesn't really serve a purpose, in my opinion, to make both of them work, to be honest. Because overall, one's probably just going to end up better than the other, and they're not going to be different enough to really warrant that kind of a change. So
he did make some of them pretty different. Like old Geef doesn't have a whiff SPD. Like some of them are pretty different.
Right. You can do that, but then that belies the thing that I was talking about, in which I want to make a balanced version that doesn't change the game that much.
I absolutely agree.
You know what I mean? That's what I mean. To make the old characters unique enough to be playable, you're changing the game drastically, because now you're adding another 12 characters to the game. Because let's face it, outside of 4 old characters, the rest of them were pretty irrelevant, right? So 4 or 5 characters. So you're drastically changing the game. And I don't,
agree.
like you said, for Third Strike, for Super Turbo, for MVC2, that's not what the fans of the game are going to want. You know what I mean? That's not what they're going to want necessarily. So, what other games would I want? So I said Rival Schools. I guess I'll just say Super Turbo in the same way that you said that. Maybe just in terms of production value, MVCI. You know?
Oh wow! What if MVCI looked and sounded good? Yeah.
Yeah. What if it looked like I was just watching some footage of it again yesterday. I was watching Airtola's stream, and dude, even the push block sound effect sounds gross. Like it just
like very cheap, right?
Right. Yeah. So like, if that game looked, sounded, and the faces were good, and the sound effects, the music was good, and all that stuff like that. Yeah. Like, I don't even know if I would change a lot of the gameplay. I mean,
no, the gameplay is good. It's a fun game.
You would probably change some of the things, but one, it's
hard
a
little balance, whatever.
It's hard to see what's going on, and the game is just ugly. So that's probably my last answer on that one. Okay. Is just fixing that game. So
makes sense.
I guess for my viewer choice question here, I'll pick the is there a difference between a character having legitimate gameplay options and having flashy cool stuff to do? Which one is better for beginners? So let's see. I don't even know how I'm going to abbreviate this one. Let's see. jchensor, flashy versus quote legit for newcomers. There we go. That is a terrible way to summarize that question. So is there a difference between a character having legitimate gameplay options and having flashy cool stuff to do? Characters definitely lean in all sorts of different directions, and I think that's a good thing. A character like Ryu in Super Turbo is not going to be flashy, right? He's not a crazy flashy character. In fact, his super combo, he shoots a super fireball, whereas Fei Long pummels you 5 times, and it, back when super combos were a new thing, that was super cool. Like when you saw Fei Long do that, you're like, oh my god, 6 Zangief, bam, bam, in the spinning pile driver. This is super cool, right? So obviously there's a big difference between flashy and legitimate game options. I think that kind of exists right now a little bit too. If you want to expand the meaning of that to flashy being like having like, for example, I say in Street Fighter V, there are some characters with kind of auto mix-ups, right? Like Laura kind of has an auto mix-up. If she gets certain situations, you just gotta guess, right? And that's just the end of it. Whereas characters like Sagat and I think Lucia don't really have good ways to put you in really terrible guessing situations, and so they're going to be a little bit more fundamental based and stuff. And I really do think the flashy characters are by far better for newcomers because having Falcon Punch, having Luigi clean uppercut hit is so important for newcomers. And this kind of goes back to how easy should fighting games be for beginners. Thinking of games like Dive Kick and Rising Thunder, people have to stop thinking of things in terms of making games easier. They have to start thinking in terms of making games more fun. I just retweeted a quote from the Katamari Damacy developer, and he basically said, you can make a game as stupid as you want, as long as it's fun, it's a great game, right? Okay. There's this one game, I can't even remember what it's called, but it's just like you have characters that can like grab walls and grab each other, and you try to grapple each other off elevators and off trucks and stuff like that, or down meat grinders and stuff like that. They're like, someone just tweeted out a clip that said, hey, like this game shouldn't be as fun as it should. Gang Beasts, that's the exact one. Yes, this game should not be as fun as it is. And it was just people playing it online, and they were just talking smack to each other, and stupid stuff was happening. The gameplay looks completely like janky or whatever like that, but it's just like it's entertaining enough. And that's where Smash Brothers falls into a lot of the times. The reason why it's so popular is because it's just fun to do things. If I hit you with Jigglypuff Sleep, like I've been saying for the past few weeks, you're going to talk about that for a long time if you're not good at fighting games, you know? Hungry Box and Melee can combo that off of a down throw. But, like, when you're not good and then you hit someone with it and you know that if you miss, you die, like,
Right.
you hit someone with it and you're just like, yeah! So it's all, that's why flashy characters are better for beginners, because flashy kind of implies fun, kind of implies when you land something, you feel good about yourself. Stop making games easy. Make games fun. Make games fun. And as much as I like Street Fighter V, I like Street Fighter V more than 4. I really enjoy 5 right now. There is nothing inherently fun about 5. I really, truly believe that about the game. I think at a base level, the game doesn't provide you with enough flashy fun in the game, and I think that's what makes it hard for a lot of people to pick up, why a lot of people are so down on the game, because it doesn't feel, and they've improved it a lot in Season 5. The tire, for example, Abigail Tire is a joy to mess with, you know, and stuff like that. So that's my thought on this. It's flashy stuff is better for beginners. Same thing about how easy should fighting games be for beginners. Doesn't matter how easy it is. As long as you see something that you want to do. Majin Obama retweeted a clip of a girl trying to learn Guilty Gear. She was playing,
Bunny,
I think. What's that?
I think her name was Bunny, or her screen name.
Yeah, and she was playing the Guilty Gear beta. And she was trying May and saw one of the moves summoned a dolphin. And she was like, that's cool. I want to summon a dolphin. That's neat. And that will get her motivated enough to learn how to do a sonic boom just to get a dolphin out and be able to do something with it. You know, so that's all it is. We got to go back to making things fun. And that is the goal that we have to concentrate on fighting games. So
that was a great video.
Yeah, it was.
If people haven't watched that, I really, really recommend Majin Obama's video on YouTube where he watches her learn to play Guilty Gear, and she like almost instantly figures out how number notation works, and she learns that, right? Like it was very good. It was very good. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I highly disagree that SF5 is not inherently fun, but otherwise I totally agree with you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Games got to be fun, man. That's what's more important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Alrighty. Anything else to say about...
It is tough because, too, like a lot of the older games that we got into, they're not flashy anymore compared to what we know.
Yeah.
So, you know, a game like Third Strike or Street Fighter 2 are not going to feel as cool because they were limited with what they could do with all the supers and everything like that. So
they definitely felt cool at the time.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
super cool at the time. But, now in retrospect...
And obviously, having grown up with those games, like I said, Stan Light Kick into SPD is still like the greatest feeling in the world in Super Turbo because I know how hard it is, but it's just not flashy because everybody SPDs in every game now, so it's like, whatever. It doesn't even matter. But having said that, what's cool about that is even though Hungry Box can combo a sleep like nothing in Melee, for casual audiences, when they see that, it'll always be hype because they understand that move and how hard it's always been. And so Smash, again, like I said, I've wanted to do a talk on this. One of the best psychological fighting games out there in terms of making things inherently fun. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's move on.
Parrying in Third Strike is absolutely one of the most satisfying things to do. I've often told the story that I couldn't get a lot of my friends to play fighting games, but they all wanted to play Street Fighter 3 because all they ever did was just try to parry things. You know, they would do the thing where they go in the arcade and they would make Necro do electricity and they would just want to parry it forever, you know? Like, parries, I've always said, like, I've always talked about how I don't like it as a mechanic, but everything else about parry is brilliant, is genius. It's one of the greatest mechanics for emotion in fighting games, as evidenced by Daigo parry. It is like not like everything outside of gameplay. I think parry is like one of the most flawless mechanics in the game. If you added a little delay to third strike, you know, that if you parry like Gil in Street Fighter V, then I think parry is the perfect mechanic. Then I think parry is just fantastic. My only gripe about parry is the option selectability and the fact that you can't punish it if you know they're going to do it. That's all. So. And yeah.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. I'll shut up.
Okay.
Sorry.
Let's talk about some game news. There's not a lot.
Okay.
Skullgirls added a Wi-Fi indicator, which basically is a jitter indicator. So now, when you're getting matched up against somebody in Skullgirls, you can see what their jitter is, as well as their ping. And you can judge based on that whether you'd like to play them in the video game or not. So I think that's pretty cool.
The on blast indicator. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I mean, dude, someone just put out a tweet. Oh god, I retweeted it earlier. Let me see if I can find this tweet. I love this tweet. Let me see.
Correct. The answer is no, you would not like to play them in the video game.
Play what? In the whole... Oh, yeah, okay, gotcha.
If somebody's jitter is too high, no thanks.
Yeah. Gosh, I cannot... I thought I retweeted this. Maybe I didn't retweet it. Pretty sure I did. It was the tweet where basically said, like, you know, delay-based netcode, you can play the person in your neighborhood. Rollback netcode, you can play someone across the country. Skullgirls crazy improved uber mega rollback netcode, you can play other people on the same planet. And it's crazy, dude. It's crazy how... Oh yeah, here it is. Novel Tataki said, delay-based netcode, you can play with people who live in the same city. Rollback netcode, you can play with people who live on the same continent. Skullgirls brand new super GGPO, you can play with people who live on the same planet. That's wild. I mean, the fact that it was always the paragon of the best netcode, and now Mike Z's improved it, is...
Yeah, shout outs to Mike.
Is
absolutely
wild. I mean, talk about caring. You know,
yeah, that's one thing that Mike definitely does.
Talk about caring.
No doubt about that one.
And like he said, he's doing it because he wants everybody else to do it. He wants people to enjoy the game that he wants people to enjoy. So, like, honestly, like, it's like, you can't say enough. You can't say enough about how cool that is, dude. Oh, man.
Agreed. Very cool.
So,
in Dragon Ball FighterZ, hey, guess who they announced, James? There's a trailer.
Let me guess. It's Goku.
Correct. Ultra Instinct Goku is coming out on May 22nd. I think he actually looks pretty cool, though. I don't know if you saw the trailer, but he just has like a kind of like lackadaisical graphical style where he's just like putting his arm up and it does like 10 hits, right? Like it's that kind of just like, I don't even need to beat it. It's just no big deal at all, and he's beating you.
It's like he like phases through things and just ends up hitting you. Like everything's a counter. But, you know, the question is, that's obviously a trailer and they can make things look how they want to. I'm really curious to see how he's actually going to play in combat. Because if he ends up kind of being different and more counter-oriented, I think that would be super sick and really, really cool. You know what's actually really funny? You know, ever since that you started driving through the COVID freeways, you know, every time you end up on the show, you have this like kind of green glow around you. But Chun-Li right behind you has the same green glow. So you were just doing it to match her this whole time, right?
Well, this side of the room, that's not actually a green poster right there. That's a white poster. And there's just a weird light on the side of the room that's a little bit green. That's all.
Oh, man. Anyway.
Hey, in community news, let's move on to that, because like I said, there's just not a ton of game stuff going on in terms of new things. Community stuff. Defend the North was canceled. It was originally scheduled for July 17th to 19th of this year, but like everything else, they are moving on, and it will be back July 16th to 18th of 2021. Makes sense. Makes sense. And Soulcalibur 6 has some news. The Bud Light Beer League is announced, huh?
Yeah, this was the same thing that they were doing with Tekken a while ago. They just had this for Tekken, and now they're actually doing this for Soulcalibur now. So I think that's actually super cool. Bud Light and Twitch are teaming up. There's going to be $15,000 in total prize money. So I think that's actually pretty cool. I'm excited for this anyways.
Definitely, yeah. Are there any other details about it?
If you go to their Smash GG page, it's starting this weekend with the Western qualifiers on May 15th, May 29th, June 12th, June 26th, and July 3rd. The finals will be on July 10th. Then the East Coast qualifiers will be on May 22nd, June 9th, June 19th. June 5th, June 19th, June 26th, July 3rd, and the finals also on July 10th. So the whole thing's going to be online, obviously. So, you can see that there's only certain states that you can compete from, on which ones are from the West Coast and East Coast and such. So,
and is it free to enter?
I'm trying to see right now here if there is any sort of pricing on here. Let's see. I don't see the pricing on here.
Okay.
Sign-ups close 1 hour before tournament. Main tournaments, blah, blah, blah. I don't think it might not be, actually.
Okay.
It might not have any costs, I should say.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah. Free to enter.
Yeah. Okay. I'll find out more information.
Okay.
But Tenno is going to be producing that, so it should be really cool.
Sweet.
So, list of rules.
And it's on PC, that's cool.
List of rules can be found here. So I have this rules over here. Certain definitions. Let's see, tournament format, schedules, general eligibility, registration information. I don't see anything about a cost. So I think it might just be free to enter. So
Okay. Sounds good. All right, so that starts again when? Oh, this weekend you said?
Yes, this weekend. The West Coast one starts this weekend. So there you go.
What do you think about Bud Light being involved? Is that cool?
I mean, I guess I don't really have too huge of a problem with it. I know some people do. Obviously, alcohol kind of related thing, not good for kids. Obviously, lots of problems and everything. But I don't know. I guess I'll just have to see how it plays out, to be honest with you. So I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it doesn't bug me. This has never really been a big deal for me.
Yeah.
Not the first time that there's been that Bud Light's done something. I just think it's like nobody likes Bud Light, guys.
Dang.
So they have to. Bud Light has to be really aggressive about advertising because nobody likes it. So instead, it just needs to be in your brain. It needs to be in your brain,
It's
or
funny
else you
'cause
just
as-
won't even think about buying it.
As a person who doesn't drink beer, I hear about Bud Light a lot.
Yeah.
You hear about it a lot.
Yeah.
Is it just like the cheapest beer out there or something? Or...
No, there's cheaper stuff. There's worse stuff, by the way. It's just tasteless. It's very watery, and it's just it's like sparkling water, but there's a weird beer taste. It's not even a good beer taste. Anyway, it's not my favorite. I really like Budweiser. I like Budweiser,
Okay.
non-ironically.
Okay.
But Bud Light, there's a reason why Bud Light does all this advertising and Budweiser doesn't do quite as much, because they really got to try their hardest to sell Bud Light.
You're making it sound like the Chinese restaurant theory, right? The ones with the worst service have the best food because they don't have to worry about the service. Oh, man.
There you go.
Okay. What else do we got?
Okay. And then Capcom had a financial review, as comes up once a quarter, I believe. And in that, they talked about some of their plans. They talked about the importance of esports, of course, something that we addressed not long ago when the same kind of thing happened. They talk about how important esports is to them. They want to expand in it, yada, yada. That makes sense. It also says that Capcom plans to found the Esports Academy, which is a tentative name, but Esports Academy, for training professional players, as well as to establish regional teams and leagues for female players. So, training professional players, I mean, all of those things, that's so much more hands-on in the community than anything they've done before. All they've done previously is kind of put a Capcom Cup on top of existing tournaments, right? And so they've really just been piggybacking for the most part. This sounds like a much more active take in the scene.
How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I've always said that I like that the FGC is more driven by the grassroots rather than being like sort of a top-down view of esports. It's more of a bottom-up, and I like that for many reasons. It's what I'm comfortable with. It's, I think, the best way to have real growth rather than have some explosive growth and then everything tumbles down. And I like that the people who are winning, sort of getting the most benefit in that instance, are the people who have been involved with the community for a long time, right?
Right.
So there's a bunch of reasons why I like that. That said, if they do a good job of this, then I think that would be cool. I'm not against them being involved. I would really much rather have community-run stuff, because this kind of thing semi-exists. There are players out there who teach lessons. There are people have tried to establish teams and leagues in the past. There are weekly streams. There's, there's been things like Valkyries and Exo Academy to help, women in the scene. I would really rather that those community projects be given more money rather than like Capcom to start its own thing.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Or maybe just hire all those people to do those things.
The thing is that I don't want them to have ownership of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, what if, this is obviously unlikely, but what if Capcom next year is like, well, this whole Street Fighter thing didn't work out. We're just going to dump it.
Right. Yeah, of course. I mean,
probably not, but maybe, and I don't want to take that risk.
That's the concern that we've always had, with like MLG trying to take over FGC and stuff like that. So, yeah. So, I mean, like you said, it just really depends on how they handle it. Really depends on how they handle it. High Fight reminds us that, Capcom Japan had the beginner league last year in Japan. And I don't think anybody really had any issues with it or anything like that. So as long as
it's quite a different scene there, but that's true.
Yeah. Again, I was just about to say, because Japan is very different, right?
Yeah.
And so it just really depends on how well they play with the community and if it is very community driven and community focused. Street Fighter League was something that we were very concerned about, but after it came out and the way it turned out, it felt very organic. It felt like
it ended up seeing good.
Yeah, a lot of the players in there got to be themselves. Like, I loved seeing Dual Kevin and Rob TV bark at each other and stuff like that. Who was it? Toy, who did the Dan roll and stuff like that. Like, all that stuff was really cool. I was glad that the players got to be themselves and everything. So if they can do it that way, then let's go for it. Let's see how it works. So.
All right. And I think that's
it. In particular, what about the women's league? A lot of people are talking about that, upset about that, because they feel like it's the segregation thing. It's the exact same argument that came up when Evo tried to do the women's Street Fighter tournament for Street Fighter 4 back in 2010, 2011 or whatever like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people got really mad at that. Because they considered it like segregation, like admitting that women aren't as strong, whereas, I honestly feel like, they're trying just to make it so that there's a safer, more comfortable space for, women to come and compete.
Yeah.
Obviously I saw some of the women express that, they would prefer it if women's only events were community driven things because, but unfortunately, other women in the FGC were saying that the problem with that is that it's just not financially feasible. Like EXO Academy right now is taking a break because obviously I think COVID is kind of messing them up and they can't fly anyone anywhere anyway and stuff. So, you know, there's just a lot of things going on. It's not easy to do those kind of things, you know. So what is the right answer to have in this kind of situation?
Yeah, like with the previous conversation about women being upset about the tweets, you know, I'm going to take my cues from the women who are the people who would be involved in that. And most of the ones that I've read have not been cool with it, especially from the perspective of the developer running that rather than the community continuing to do its own good things. The community-centric, community developed programs for women have largely not been about having their own competitions rather having, you know, helping women become better players and commentators and so forth, and also having a space for themselves to hang out amongst themselves, which I can definitely imagine is important. But then the tournaments are still, you know, they can still enter the main tournament, of course.
Smash Sisters.
I don't know, that's what makes sense to me.
Smash Sisters has a lot of women-only tournaments, so they've done it before.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, it's not something that that I would say anything against. Like I said, if the people involved in that I feel more comfortable doing it that way, totally cool with me.
I mean, it's really interesting to me because, you know, Combo Queens, one of the leaders of Combo Queens, obviously, is Carolyn, and she's part of Capcom. I wonder if part of this is actually might be her idea. Again, I don't know. I have no idea. Or if she's spoken up against it. You know, I'd be curious to see, you know, how that all played out from that standpoint. You know, I mean,
I don't know.
So, oh man.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
What?
People are asking us what we think about Alex Valle saying that competition was harder back in the day, or that games were harder / that competition was harder. It's not super clear to me which one he thinks, but at least that games are easier now.
Where does he say that?
In a tweet.
Oh, okay.
On Twitter.
I haven't seen this yet. Are people linking this in the chat or?
Yeah, it was up there.
Oh, okay. I just missed it.
I don't know. I mean, you know, it's whatever. It's not something that I agree with, but that's fine. I think my primary reaction to this is that it's very funny to have grown up along with somebody else. I mean, Alex was around before me. I didn't know him until probably the mid 2000s, but it's very interesting to have had the experience of being a young person and meeting other people who also were young people, even if they were a little older than you, but young people nevertheless. And then hanging out with them over the years, and 15 years later, now they're having the opinion that every single generation in the entire world has always had, which was that things were harder and more worthwhile in their time rather than today. And maybe sometimes that's true. I don't know. Maybe sometimes that's right. But I feel like it should give you pause that every single generation, everywhere, always, has always said, this next generation of kids has it easier, things are easier nowadays. That's not the funky thing is that's not even like a modern thing where we're so used to progress, you know, and things are changing so much in modern times that maybe that's true in a sense. There's literally ancient Greek texts about this. I forget if it's Plato or Aristotle, but in one of those, they actually are talking about how kids have it so easy nowadays. In ancient Greece, 2,500 years ago, in a completely different context.
Yeah, my brother.
Just like, think about that when you say something is easier nowadays. Maybe you're right, but also maybe you're falling into the same trap that everybody has always fallen into.
Right. It's funny because my brother, like I said, cinephile. sees movies very differently than a lot of people. That's kind of the message that he got out of No Country for Old Men. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
No, I never did.
Oh, okay. Because that movie's just fucked up from beginning to end. It's just like crazy shit happening. And then at the very end, you know, the old character, Tommy Lee Jones, is talking about how messed up it is. And he ends up talking to some older dude who relates a story about something just as messed up that happened to him when he was younger and stuff. And it's just like, you always want to think that when you get older that things are worse now than they are. But the truth really is that everything's just messed up forever. You know?
Yeah. Again, there certainly are some ways in which now in modern times when we have such fast progress, it is true in some ways that the next generation has it easier. That's right in some respects, in material respects at least.
Mm-hmm.
But also, people have thought that always anyway.
Yeah,
it's never not been true.
The examples out there are, for example, you've talked about this before, but back in the 20s or whatever like that, before laundry machines were invented, everyone stunk, right? Like, just like the world stunk. Nobody showered, nobody bathed when there was like all these situations and like, you know, they couldn't clean their clothes. That's why perfume was so important back then and everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, anyway, sure.
Well, maybe before the 20s, earlier than that, right? I mean,
a little bit earlier.
But, you know, once the washing machine and all these things got invented, it made life easier in one way, but then now people wash their clothes more often, they do all this stuff, and so it's like easier in one way, but it's harder in other ways. And so, like, no matter how it goes, things get harder, you know what I mean? It's just, as every time things get easier, they get harder in a weird way, so... Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. I mean, it's I don't agree with Alex that games are easier now. I don't agree that competition's easier. I think it's without doubt that learning is easier. That's like very obvious.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't necessarily agree.
I
just think my primary response is like, be aware that you may also be falling into the trap that everybody has always fallen into.
I mean, my statement as an old man is that I still think Street Fighter V is the hardest Street Fighter of all time.
Dang, okay.
Right? So I think that's the hardest Street Fighter out of every single one of them.
There you go.
Having said that, though, I just made Ultra Platinum, so...
Hey,
I did not run
James.
So I was 300 points away from getting to Ultra Platinum on Friday night. I was like, all right, I'll probably hit Ultra Platinum today. I ran into 9 camis. After having like never run into camis before, and every Lucia player says that Cammy is like one of her worst matches. Like that fight sucks. Lucia versus Cammy is awful. And I ran into 9 camis, like between 4 players. I just kept running into Cammy. So I ended the night 300 points away from getting into Ultra Platinum, exactly where I started. So I was like, all right, if I didn't run into these camis, I probably would be in Ultra Platinum now. So last night, I played again. In 5 games, I got to Ultra Platinum. The weirdest part about it is I can never go better than 2-1. I'm 2-1 against everybody. I can never 2-0 anybody.
Okay.
2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. I got into Ultra Platinum. As soon as I got into Ultra Platinum, I only played Diamond players from that point forward. I 8-0'd the next 4 people that I fought, lost 1 games, and then 2-0'd that guy, and then 2-0'd the next guy. So I'm actually pretty far in Ultra Platinum right now, and again, I stand by the whole concept that there are definitely people like me who can fight better players, better than I can fight crazy players. And again,
it's very common.
That is not a brag. That is not I'm okay with it. It sucks. I don't want to not be able to fight crazy players, but it was weird because all my reads on the Diamond players were largely more accurate than my reads on everybody else in Platinum. But like some people were saying, like I did freaking slide into EX uppercut with Lucia, and some people were like, you were the crazy player, and all those Diamond players are yelling about you now. And I was like, it's probably true.
It's really common for people to think that it's easy for them to play against stronger players. It's very common.
I mean,
it's always been its own skill to learn how to scrub bust.
Yeah.
It's always been its own thing.
And a lot of people do say, that it's not true. It's just when you lose the better players, you feel like you know what you're doing. But I was beating everybody. Like I said, I can't 2-0 anybody in Platinum. And then I 2-0'd 5 people out of 6. And I didn't lose a single set after that point that I got into Diamond. And it was pretty crazy. So
when it comes to really, really strong players, the absolute best players, like Punk would 80-0 me for sure.
Oh, yeah. Because
but when it comes to people who are not like the best in the world, but people who are like are threats to make top 8 and stuff, at that level, I do think it's true that you can feel like you're doing better, even if you're not actually winning.
Right, yeah. And the reason why...
Right, there's like these different levels.
The reason why players like Punk and NuckleDo and those guys, and even DaiGo, because DaiGo has literally talked about this, do so well is because they have added the crazy into their gameplay as part of their gameplay. And so that weakness that you would have not being able to fight Platinum players, they'd be able to do intentionally in more intelligent situations to you more often. So even though I feel like I play against better players, all those guys would destroy me because they would know how to hit me with the stuff that I wouldn't be expecting. Because it's the more logical you play, I can play against you well. But the best in fighting games are the players that can move beyond that logic and start throwing the illogical in there as well. So,
alrighty. Well, all that you missed, Paco Stevens, is that we said that the MK pricing is way too high. None of us is going to buy it. And in addition to that, we think that RoboCop's going to be a terrible disgrace to the name of the movie. That's all.
Dang.
Have a good night, buddy.
Dang. Just like that? Man. Last thing that I do want to say, I tried
Obviously not. Come on.
I tried to do this on Sunday. I woke up like at 7 p.m. on Sunday, I think it was. I've been having terrible insomnia. Yesterday I got to bed at 6 a.m. The day before I got to bed at 8 a.m. The day before I got to bed at 10 a.m. The day before I got to bed at noon. So it feels like I'm going in the right direction here.
Okay.
But what I'm going to try to do tomorrow on stream, if I can wake up in time, if I can fall asleep and wake up in time, is I will try to run a test beginner tournament here on the UltraChen TV channel. So I'll need 8 volunteers to register for the tournament. Once I start the stream, I'll give you guys the link. And then I just want to set up a room, practice, see if I can make it work, set everything up on smash.gg and stuff like that, and just test it out. So I will be doing that tomorrow, testing all of my overlays and everything to see how well they work. So again, the limit, I'll probably leave it to gold, not ultra gold, gold or lower. And just have it be that way, because I want to have some players be clearly better than everyone else, but not like I'm platinum and I'm blowing you all up kind of things. I want to give even the beginners something to kind of shoot for, to build rivals and stuff like that. So, and I honestly think ultra silver and gold kind of shuffle around a lot enough that it's okay to blend that a little bit. So we'll probably do gold and lower. And then, like I said, tomorrow I'm capping it at 8 people. It'll probably take 3 hours to run a whole 8-man bracket. Probably 4 hours just because I'm new to it and it's going to be all messy. And I don't know how to use smash.gg because it is way more complicated than it should be. But I will definitely go for that, so...
Alrighty. Yes, and Paco, we talked about the trailer in the morning. We're definitely looking forward to that. James will watch that before he goes to sleep. Alright, dude. Time to wrap up?
Yep. Thank you,
sounds good.
Pugas81, for the gift sub to Outcast XO.
And thanks you to Mondo Fabulous for the subscription as well earlier.
Yep, and Giant Cattail. Aww.
Yep, I'll try to drive safely on my way home from James's apartment.
Yeah, just make sure Ajax doesn't go crazy in the car, okay? Just be careful.
No, he's a very good kitty in the car.
Yeah, he's a good kitty. Here.
All right,
Hold,
bird
there we go. Oh, there we go. Ooh, Oh, cute kitty. Look at this. Look at the kid. No reaction to the scratches either. Look at he's licking my hand now.
He's completely tranquil.
He's licking my hand now. Oh, thank you.
He's completely tranquil.
Thank you. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Time to bird you guys out, and we will see you guys next time.
My Ajax. Not yours, my Ajax.
It's okay. I've got mine. I've got mine over here, so I just don't want to pick up Jasmine right now because she's going to get mad. God, look at him. He looks so happy.